And there's been this wildly beautiful, transcendental, metaphysical idea of this millennial kingdom, this millennial reign, this 1,000-year reign of Christ. And that whole thing is really, really beautifully, stunningly poetic and enchanting. This true, sense of mystery and awe of this Garden of Eden that we're living in. And now when I look around, I literally see the Garden of Eden. This beautiful creation. I look up at the firmament and I see the pole star. I imagine that to be the gates to heaven. Just like there's a pineal gland on our head, this is our dome. And then we got the pineal gland, that's our pole star. And then we got this huge dome with the pole star, Polaris, up there. It's like as above, so below. There's a dome within, a dome without. There's a portal, a pineal gland portal to back to heaven through consciousness. At the same time, I think that when we die, our souls get pulled to the electromagnetic center of the system where Mount Meru is, and we shoot up that Jacob's ladder, the stairway to heaven, and our soul flies into Polaris, and that's where heaven is. I think heaven is actually in the waters above, through Polaris, through the pole star. We are standing in the Garden of Eden right now, and what we're trying to do is to unravel all these false narratives so that we can realize that here in the body, we're in the Garden of Creation, and we pass on, our soul transcends, and we're going to go back to heaven and hang out with that coven of ascended masters and gaze upon the glory of Christ, and all the secrets be unraveled with some kind of telepathic download, beyond language. So what we're attempting to do here is to go into a territory where language is not welcome, just unbridled bewilderment of the great riddle. The road to awe is through breath, and I think the true logos is it's beyond our understanding. We just have to gaze upon the wonder. And on a closing note, let me get a little jiggle, a little dance in here. I really think that this is an unbelievably enchanted, magical, beautiful realm that is so beyond words, so beyond language, that I think it's our hubris to think that we can use language to try to articulate and extrapolate the actual beautiful wonder of this great mysterium tremendum that we're afoot in, and that every breath we take and every person we meet, every experience we have is in this Garden of Eden. This is heaven on earth. And there's been this wildly beautiful, transcendental, metaphysical idea of this millennial kingdom, this millennial reign, this 1,000-year reign of Christ. And that whole thing is really beautifully, stunningly poetic and enchanted. This true, sense of mystery and awe of this Garden of Eden that we're living in. And now when I look around, I literally see the Garden of Eden. This beautiful creation. I look up at the firmament and I see the pole star. I imagine that to be the gates to heaven. Just like there's a pineal gland on our head, this is our dome. And then we got the pineal gland, that's our pole star. And then we got this huge dome with the pole star, Polaris up there. It's like as above, so below. There's a dome within, a dome without. There's a portal, a pineal gland portal to back to heaven through consciousness. At the same time, I think that when we die, our souls get pulled to the electromagnetic center of the system where Mount Meru is, and we shoot up that Jacob's ladder, the stairway to heaven, and our soul flies into the Polaris, and that's where heaven is. I think heaven is actually in the waters above. Through Polaris, through the pole star.
I'm the lead singer of my band, my salsa makes all the pretty girls want to dance my salsa. Look out for my next single, it's called my salsa. My salsa, 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 my salsa makes all the pretty girls want to dance and take off their underpants. My salsa makes all the pretty girls want to dance and take off their underpants. My salsa.
Looks like somebody's been down here with the ugly stick. Let's go.
Can I get a phone that plays the Mexican head dance?
I insist on it.
I dance around the Mexican head. I dance, and that's the end of that. Or is it? I guess I'll keep singing. My cell phone appears to be ringing.
Hello?
What's up, guys?
Quiet Bonnie.
Hi.
Hey there.
Hey, guys.
Where are you
Watsun.
driving?
Hi, Grace.
Hi,
Hello.
Rico.
Hi, Rico.
Hey, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Where are you guys at?
Wait, us?
We are approaching.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Somebody's roboting.
Oh, it's probably us because we're driving.
Where are you driving to? What's your road
Outer
trip?
Banks.
Outer Banks?
It's the last leg of the Fiona Epsilon Summer 2025 tour. 4 months, and we're coming to an end. This is the last leg.
Sounds exciting.
That is a name.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a run this summer. How are you guys? Watson, Grace, you guys good?
We're in Maine right now.
Yeah, we're on the coast of Maine up towards the Freeport area. I just went for a walk and we could see all of the islands right on the coast here. It's been a rainy day today, which is the first rain in a few weeks. It's been really hot out. and pretty relatively warm. So when the rain came this morning, we were jumping for joy, and it's been raining all day. And then now we ended up, since we had to get Wi-Fi, we made an exception and got a campground here that has this little cabin that we're in, and our van is on the other side of the wind. You can't see it there, but we're parked right over there. We're camped out right next to this cabin that has Wi-Fi. So we've been in Maine for about a month, and we're going to be here for a little longer. Bonnie's pregnant.
Yep.
Wow.
So we decided to stick around Maine.
Bonnie's gonna have puppies.
Yep. In about a week.
That is so fetch.
And we're keeping one of the female puppies. Yeah. And then we're going to distribute the rest of them to some really, really close friends of ours that will be I've been friends with for, some of them like 2 decades, and we'll be friends with them for life. So we'll be able to always visit the puppies as the years go by.
Oh, that's cool.
We're going to keep one of the female puppies so she has a companion.
Hey,
That's
Watson.
so cute.
Yeah.
I love puppies.
You want to know how I know I'm gay?
Yeah.
I just quoted Mean Girls.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
I don't think that makes you gay. I think that makes you in touch with your feminine side.
No one knows I'm a deeply closeted homosexual.
I think
we're going there again tonight, dude.
I think.
Well, okay.
I think we all.
Wait,
I was assuming maybe because you're so clean shaven. Look how clean your face is. You don't have any scrub.
Dude, I got beard envy. It's so patchy.
Do you have cologne on too? Did you just get your nails done?
I do keep up with my nails,
There you
and
go.
I am wearing body spray.
There we go. There's a sign.
I used to be kind of metro. I've kind of gotten over it in my old age.
Are you wearing perfume or body spray?
Body spray.
Okay. Like Axe body spray?
Over here.
Ask. I wonder if in the ghetto they call it Ask body spray.
Hey,
Well,
Watson.
I do wear vetiver. That's my secret weapon is vetiver. So, and she wears amber. So those are our two scents that we wear. I've been wearing vetiver for like 20 years, but that's my secret weapon.
Nice.
I don't do it too often, just on occasion.
I've been wearing chlorine. I've been taking hippie baths in the pool every day. Well, almost every day. Yeah.
Road hygiene is a different monster altogether.
It is indeed.
We take hippie baths in rivers and lakes.
I love it.
Yeah.
We took.
You feel cleaner.
We took showers with a hose pipe on Warped Tour. And I would do it completely naked till I met the singer of Alien Ant Farm, and I was like, "Oh, that's how you're supposed to look."
We need to do a podcast on you to tell us all the wild, sordid stories of the Warped Tour era.
I was thinking about doing that on my solo Sombrero. The very first episode we're all doing our individual things, and my first episode is going to be music stuff. Mine's called the Hurricane Rico Files, and I thought I would go more into that kind of thing there, because I'm just 1/5 here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, some of them are a little self-indulgent, so I didn't want to waste this audience's time with that kind of thing.
Coming from the perspective as a tattooist for the last 30 years, did you ever hear the parody called the Warped Tour sleeve? Do you know what that is? The Warped Tour sleeve. That's those that wave, that new generation of kids who wouldn't have full sleeves, but they would have tattoos on their hands and neck, and then they had their hoodie on with their corn hoodie or whatever, and then they take the hoodie off and they wouldn't have anything on their arms, but it looked like with their hoodie that they were heavily tattooed because their hand and their neck.
Wow.
But from our generation, you get sleeves first before you would get your hands.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. Did you know a lot of people think people are
to our sleeve because it was that generation that was breaking the code of getting your hands and neck before you got your sleeve done. So it was usually an insult.
A lot of people don't know. A lot of people think that people are getting their sleeves blacked out. Did you know that they're just using shoe polish, that they're not actually blacking out their arms?
I mean, in some of the photographs, like the fashion shoots and stuff?
Like bands, you will think that they blacked out their entire sleeves and their neck, but it's not. It's just black shoe polish.
Yeah.
They're not really doing it.
No, I can see a lot of the fakery like that. Oh, we've got some people rolling up on us right now. Let's let them.
All right.
Hold on, because we're in a public space right here, so they're getting ready to walk in on us. So I'm gonna
Okay.
keep down and kind of keep it low. But but yeah, we might have to just have them. But no, I haven't heard that, but I have heard that this epidemic of the black fleas. Yeah. Okay.
This is so us right now. This is so us.
Yeah. Hello. But yeah, this epidemic of these people getting their entire the arms tattooed all black. In the 90s, it was usually a last ditch effort to cover up like an ill-fated biomech sleeve, the HR Giger stuff, and it was always a desperate need to cover it up. Nowadays, people are just doing it right out of the gates with no cover up. They just want a blackout sleeve. It's madness. No one ever got it unless they were covering something up. So it's really wild.
What are they using to do the blackout? Like 30 needles?
Yeah, I've got like a 50 mag. They're like really
50. Do you want me to? Yeah. I just asked if it's not.
Yeah, 50 to 100.
I mean, I'm muting up.
Okay.
What's that?
They're muting up for a second. Yeah. So they're using 50?
Oh yeah, they're absolutely huge. It's insane. I mean, I could do bold black work like that. And I've got a mag that's about that big, and I'm good at doing black work, but it's actually really hard to do. You can mess it up pretty easy. You would think it would be easy because it's just black, but technically speaking, it's very demanding and easy to mess up, and you got to really take your time and be very calculated and logical, thoughtful. It looks easy, but it's not. Yeah, but I like doing it in smaller doses. I don't like the full blackout sleeve. Unless it's a desperate need to cover up a badly done sleeve, and then I really prefer the blackout ones when they're blasting white on top of it, the white over black stuff.
I'm still anxious to get a tattoo by you. We were going to do that, but
we make it happen. I travel with all my tattoo equipment. I'm full-time tattooist. Been doing it 33 years now, and we've been heavily tattooing Grace. She's got, without showing all of her work, we've been working on the mainframe for a full body suit. Yeah.
Hey, they're going to clip you out saying 33. We got
33 years tattoo and whatever. I got my mom was born in 1933. I was fixated on the number 33 in celebration of my mom's birthday, and then I had people calling me out. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, dude. It's my mother's birthday.
Well, we got our first.
They think you're like you're compromised, or you're like a Mason, or you're controlled.
Yeah. Well, Sombrero we got our first video where they're like showing us doing hand symbols and playing that creepy music. I wear it like a badge of honor. I'm like, we've made it to the big time if they're like picking us apart.
At the first Flat Earth conference in 2016, I had a shirt that just said Flat Earth Society, and it was this army green shirt that had this really cool basic United Nations symbol on it. And I just thought it was a cool shirt. It was kind of punk, is whatever. And I loved wearing it because it was, it was kind of a trickster spirit. Like people would be like, Flat Earth, like what? It was at that time when it was really socially jarring and fun to kind of prod people. And some asshole comes up to me and asks me if I was controlled opposition or if I was an agent or a sleeper agent. And I was like, what? He's like, your shirt. And I was like, oh, you idiot. It's just a fun shirt.
Just say yes. Next time somebody asks you that, just say yes.
Totally controlled
opposition, yes.
Man.
Yeah, just say yes.
I want to believe
people
that we can lie back to them. Yes.
Are they tattoos? They think I'm some Satanist or something.
Hey, we're cashing them David Weiss checks.
What's that mean?
Actually,
a lot of people think that I'm working for David Weiss.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So you're working for the man or something. If he's controlled or not.
Truth be told, I asked him if I could play his commercial during our break. It was the other way around, if anything. I wanted like a halfway mark in our show, and I was like, hey, do you mind? Nico, you're chopping up pretty hard. Try again.
Oh, I am sorry.
There you go. No, you're clear now. Go.
Is there connection okay?
Oh, I was just gonna. No.
No.
It's so funny. It clears up right when you stop talking. Like I can tell by the road noise when it clears up, and right when you quit talking, it goes very clear.
Hey Rico, you look great. You said we actually haven't had a drink in almost 2 years. Next August 5th will be 2 years.
Yeah.
And you said it's been 5 months for you. You look amazing.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like that for a minute.
Okay, no problem, guys. I think it's been about 5 months.
I can really see a difference. You got a glow about you, and you look fantastic.
Dude, that's my favorite compliment. I've been getting that lately. People were like, "The light's back on in your eyes," and
we only have 2 bars.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to be kind of in and out tonight, but we're still hanging in there. You'll just see the picture of us driving the car. But when we have 5 bars, we'll unmute ourselves. And it looks like Rico dropped off too.
Did I?
Well, I just would like to talk more about the number 33 because it's actually sacred geometry, and that's the reason why it got usurped. Like all of the secret societies, and then they turned it into an evil number, and it just so happens to be an incredibly coincidental perfect number. And so any of those numbers, Anyway, I love numbers.
Jesus was 33.
33 years tattooing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a haul. I'm still going strong, and I don't think I'll ever stop tattooing. I'm gonna be one of those old timers who's been tattooing 50 years. And
I don't have any tattoos.
That's cool. I like people that are heavily tattooed or people with no tattoos. I don't care. It doesn't bother me, but I enjoy the blank canvas and heavily tattooed small pieces. The nice thing about the blank canvas, like Grace, she didn't have any tattoos, and then we were able to start from scratch with nothing on her palette, and it was really exciting because she was always into tattoos but never found the right tattooist.
Yep.
And then how is it now?
I got a lot going on.
I want my next sunflower tattoo from you, Watson.
I love the tattoo. Well, we always do our equipment. We should do it. Are you guys going to I don't know what's going on with that esoterica thing, the Karen B
Yes,
thing?
I'm performing at that.
Cool.
So,
why don't maybe we can either stick around a date later or come tattoo the day before. We could tattoo at that event, which is ideal because it's we're hanging out together, and I travel with my equipment, and there's plenty of places to set up, and I might be able to do a few tattoos when I'm there.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Let's call it a date.
Yeah, let's live stream it.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be.
I might even have one day where I'll just do a bunch, not long pieces, but 2-3 hour pieces, and just need to be the tattoo detail on site.
I can't wait for mine. Do you want to do my skull or neck?
Yes, both.
Okay, all right. Because I want to do some more Kubrick stuff.
Stanley Kubrick? What's the idea?
I want to do more of that.
More of that pattern work from The Shining. Yeah.
Here and here.
Yes. Do you have anything on the side of your neck now?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah.
This is I'll show you. This is from my favorite Norma Jean record. It's a guy.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
He's drowning, but and he only has one hand, but he's too stubborn to ask God for help.
Yeah. So I can see it now.
Well, it looks like I got a mini mullet going on.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Hair blonde?
It was platinum.
I think we should do the side of your head then, because that'll be easier to do. Like I have my side done. You can. It's pretty easy to get that tattooed. And then the throat's a little rugged.
Really?
My whole throat's done. But it's manageable. You have yours. She has hers done too. She's like, not really. It's easy.
Mine's really light.
There's a new hat I decorated. Okay, you see all the cool stuff on it? This was her papa. Tell them the story. You found
that was my grandfather's fishing hat that I got when he passed away. And then we came across it like 2 months ago, and he's like, this hat's so cool. And he went right in and painted it and put all these little trinkets on it.
Yeah, like 2 days later, it was all decked out.
Yeah.
Hey, fathead, who are you asking?
Oh, I'm not even paying attention to chat. What?
We don't have to wait for him.
Oh, fathead.
Fathead's asking where y'all are headed.
Us?
So they've already said that they're ending on their last leg of their tour. Where are you headed specifically?
Are you asking us?
Oh yeah, we're heading.
Fathead is.
Oh, hi, Fathead. We are on our last 41 miles to Hatteras.
Up 12,000 miles.
12, maybe even 13,000 miles.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is it. This is the last burn. So
we're going to be on the very edge of the Outer Banks, on like near the elbow, in the graveyard of the sea.
But enough about us, man. Watson,
Yeah.
where we leave off last time with you?
I was just about to say I didn't go back. I didn't go back and listen to that last episode, so I don't know how to lead you back into it. Did you go back?
I definitely reviewed them, so I've got a pretty good handle on what I'd like to. Maybe if you don't mind me leading the charge, so to speak, I could definitely run with some backstory. So whenever you're ready for to let me go, I can go from there.
Yeah, man, go for it. We'll chime in if we have a question or need clarification. Go ahead.
When I first agreed to this narrative, this great conversation, this exchange of ideas with you guys, I had initially thought that we were going to be talking about a lot of the conspiratorial topics and going off the deep end, talking about geocentrism and the Tartaria and AI and the millennial reign and the whole history of alternative media concepts have been around for the last few decades, since I've been kind of researching and flirting with this stuff since the early 90s, and have a pretty good handle on almost every topic. At least I've got a really good idea what's going on with almost every topic imaginable, except for the Mandela effect. That's a total riddle to me. But when we kind of catapulted ourselves into the front lines of this conversation with your crew, I was surprised and taken aback by how we ended up talking about a lot of other things I wasn't really planning on talking about. There was talk about, it became more, I think, a little bit more personal and more intimate and more about like my story.
A biography,
opposed to about me talking about my ideas and my ethos and hypothesis about what's going on with the big picture. And though I really like having that conversation, in the process of reviewing it, and even on the second part, the last time, I was really I had no idea we were going to talk about us traveling and us, like the lifestyle of us traveling, and talk about like our clothing and what influenced the cause and effect of this clothing and the traveler aesthetic. And there was a good huge section of it about us just being on the road and traveling. And that it kind of caught me off guard at first. At first, I was a little unsure because I wasn't expecting that, but I think you guys just it just naturally went that way. And then we ended up talking about a lot of, some mysticism, my ideas around light and dark and white and black magic and ayahuasca and, things like that. And again, I wasn't really planning on going off in that territory. So with that stated, I would really like to be really transparent with my story and give you guys a backstory that I never share with anybody, and would like to take this opportunity to kind of come out of the proverbial, shadows and tell you about my trauma, or by the genesis of what cause and effect that sculpted and influenced and nurtured me into this curious, idiosyncratic persona that I am now. Because when I look back in hindsight about what some of the things I've been through, some of the traumatic things, I almost embrace them or celebrate them as a distillation of my spirit that allowed me to blossom into who I am now, which I'm 100% confident and sure and happy with where I'm at in my life, especially with grace and with my lifestyle and stuff. And I look back in hindsight, I'm like, none of this would have happened without that particular trajectory or that storyline or that the joy and the sorrow, so to speak, that I had went through. So with that stated, I'd almost like to just mention, without presenting myself at all as a victim, but more as a survivor, but just give a quick little synopsis of a few things that I've gone through in my life that kind of became shadow work or heavy, dark nights of the soul that I ended up surviving through, working through, distilling the spirit through, and coming out on the other side stronger and more full of lust and passion and an unwavering resilience that is unstoppable now. Like I have this lust for life that is wildly impassioned and full of allure and vigor and fortitude. And I think that's something too that in part is because I learned how to go through some of those dark paths, and they made me stronger. So is that a good caveat?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hear it.
So
yeah,
when
nice. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, no, that was a nice little summation of where you were. So that was perfect. Thank you. Go ahead.
When I reviewed the two interviews, as meandering and fun and playful they were, and at times really poignant, or at times really relaxed, and at times really, real playful and fun and kind of cruising all over the place, I had the epiphany, like, you know what, I should probably just come out and tell this part of my story, and then maybe later on we could get into some more exciting ideas about, trying to extrapolate some meaning and some substance out of what's going on in this modern 2025 zeitgeist, especially with trying to connect all the dots of what's been going on in alternative music. So maybe there could be an opportunity later to pull the aperture out really far and not have it so personal. So maybe this first part, we'll keep it concentrated. We could talk about my story, and then we could shift gears when we take a break, and then we could talk about the big picture, which it hasn't me. It's just the collective human condition. So let's just go on part one here. I'll tell you this yarn.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah. Is there a bit of a delay? Like, is it like stumbling you for me to say okay or go? Okay.
No
all right.
delay.
All right. Go for it, man. I'm excited. So, by the way, so is the audience. Everyone loves when you guys were on. Nothing but positive feedback whenever we have you guys. But,
right.
Okay. It's all you, buddy.
And for the record, this is the coolest lady I've ever met. She's my best friend, and we live on the road full time. And it's just the two of us and our puppy, and soon to be our dog, and soon to be a fourth vagabond. We're going to be. So anyway, it's nice that you're here with me. And
I'm a big fan too. Have you ever noticed I always invite you guys? Like I never go, hey, just you. I'm like, hey.
I don't think I want to do it without her. We do everything together. We're together 24/7. So
yeah, I do that by design. Like I've always said, hey, are you guys available? Not, hey, are you available?
And there is a funny story. Just this morning or last night, I just edited a video because I do all this video art and I upload stuff on YouTube and the Instagram page. If anyone's listening, if you want to follow us on Instagram, I got a curious page with tattoos and a lot of video lifestyle vignette stuff. But I uploaded one recently, just yesterday, and we were reviewing it at the end, and it said 2024 because I always put a date stamp, and I was like, is it 2024, 2025? It was genuinely confused. I didn't know what year it was. And she's like, it's 2025. I was like, no, wait, is it?
It's so weird. I saw that, by the way.
Yeah, they're so much fun to make. I don't know where I'm going with them, but I just want to make videos about her. So it's just us hanging out, So when you have a muse, you just want to make art about your beautiful muse. So
hey, and your Instagram handle is?
It's a spelling on the name, the WATSUN ATKINSUN, and then Grace's is
Weaver of Wires with the underscores between the words.
Yeah, so you can see a lot of her jewelry. Like she recently made this one, which is a ruin and a cross, and also has an anarchy symbol in it. So
are you guys able to comment in the chat?
Yeah.
Right now?
Oh yeah,
I'll check.
She could put it in there, or maybe you could just put our connection in there.
Yeah, I'll put them in right now.
So with that stated, I always like to tell stories, especially traumatic stuff, with a smile and a giggle, because I'm not pessimistic. I'm not a naysayer. I'm not defeated in any way. I don't believe in getting black pilled. I actually believe in getting white pilled. The whole Matrix reference. There's a slippery slope when you get in this scene of getting black pilled or getting purple pilled or whatever you want to call it. And I've overwhelmingly stayed white pilled. I have definitely flirted with no ones, but with that stated, we got some other guys rolling up on us real quick. Let's see if we can see something there. Oh, hold on a second. Bonnie, quiet down. Quiet down. It's okay. Hey there. We're just talking to
Hello there. You find a nice bride. Yes, you are.
We're just doing a little podcast interview here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Do you work here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, stay in here as long as you need.
Cool. And we can shut the windows down. We're camping right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever you gotta do.
Cool. Thank you.
We'll be open all night.
Do you want us to shut the windows down when we close out?
Just like those there, maybe.
Cool.
Like a raccoon.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Other than that, just leave the door unlocked.
Yeah.
Where somebody else needs to get in here for any reason.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we rented this the cab. We stayed here a few times, and we stayed here specifically because this building has Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because we had to do an interview.
Oh,
and it's so beautiful.
Wi-Fi's on. Did you call earlier?
I called yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's on all the time.
All right.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
There's something really fun. You guys don't have to unmute for this, but there's something really fun that's happening with Alex and Nico when their image freezes and it unfreezes for a split second. It's going super fast, so it looks like he kicks in the hyperdrive for like
that's hilarious.
Like for a hot second, it's like whoa.
Okay,
all right.
story.
Get to the story.
Lay down, bud.
Enough of the caveats. So I grew up. I was born in 1971 in Indianapolis, and both my parents met in Michigan. And I've got a long, rich history of going up into Michigan as a kid. I had he moved down to Indianapolis because he got transferred from General Motors down to a big factory they're building in Indianapolis. So I was born there and raised there in the north side of Indianapolis, and had a relatively normal childhood. Middle class kid, growing up in the 70s, and had experienced the classic 1970s childhood. Grew up on BMX and go-karts and mopeds and motorcycles, and raced hell a lot, listened to classic rock, and it's just a fun 70s childhood. It was a really quite a blast. And up into the 80s too, which for the most part we were like free range kids. We just came and went as we wanted. Curfew. We would always hop on our mopeds or mini bikes or go-karts. Back then, they didn't police any of that stuff. So we used to ride around town on mini bikes and race. It wasn't really a town. It was kind of on the edge of town. It was a little bit on the edge of the country. So I had a friend that lived, Gene Dannenfelser, which you met last summer. He lived about 10 miles away. And we would, in the summertime, we'd ride our go-karts over there or whatever. They didn't care. Police would pass you and wave. And anyway, it was a really fun time to be a kid. There's a lot of hot rod culture. My father was into cars. And my brothers, our whole family were into cars. There's always cars around, a lot of cars coming and going. Hot rod culture, rock and roll, classic rock. It was a good time. And everything was going pretty well up until my brother and I were 14 years old. This would have been in 1985. And we just hit the 40th anniversary of this. I kind of forgot about what year exactly. I just generally knew roughly it was summertime. But I got a text message from my sister stating that, hey, it's been 40 years since the tragedy. And I was like, this was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was, what was the date? It was
June 20th?
June 26th or something like that. So it wasn't too long ago, And what happened was there was a lot of, when I became a teenager, by the time I turned 11 or 12, there was a lot of drug use that started to infiltrate, the teenage subculture. I think, that had gone back into the 60s and 70s and era. But by the time the 80s hit, drug culture was pretty entrenched into the teenage experience. So I had taken acid, had smoked weed, had drank, had actually spent time with a girlfriend, so to speak. By the time I was like 13 years old, I'd pretty much gotten introduced to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And was when we turned 14, it was really getting kind of ramped up. But one of the reasons is my older brother was a dealer and a drug dealer, and he was 40 years old.
Same thing here.
And he had all these really cool friends that would come over. They'd spin vinyl. The first time I ever heard all of the major bands from that era was hanging out with them, and they're in his room. First time I got introduced to acid, to smoking weed, to drinking, to rock and roll. I mean, some serious, got thrown in the deep end on that subculture or that, that lifestyle. And he had a long history of, it's really hard to tell this story because he's still alive. And I've struggled with whether or not I should tell this or be honest with this, because I don't really want him to hear this interview or even know about it. But I pretty much decided that he's probably never going to hear this interview because it's relatively obscure and he's not on social media and he doesn't keep up with any of this stuff and he's not going to get a link from it. So with that stated, I do love my brother. He's been homeless for 10 years now. His whole life has been a relative complicated series of unfortunate turn of events. And he's having a rough time. It's been a real rough go at it. And it's been kind of the bane of my existence, you know, trying to help him out and working with him, but his situation just continues to get more bleak. What happened in 1985, which is the early era of that, is he attempted to kill my mother. He attempted to stab her. He went, we're not really sure what happened, but he was involved with all kinds of drug use. He was diagnosed with some schizophrenic and bipolar condition at the time. The doctors had doped him full of Ritalin when he was 7 years old, and he had basically got really used to having drugs in his system. By the time he became a teenager, he got heavily involved in drug use, became a drug dealer. That's when I had started getting access to a lot of drugs. And he attempted to kill my mother with a kitchen knife. So it was a crazy summer morning. And he started talking all this biblical stuff, started talking stuff about the Bible and about how he had to kill her in order to protect Jesus. Jesus was demanding him to do it, and he had to keep the gates of hell from opening up, and he had to kill her. And he very quickly and aggressively went into the kitchen, grabbed a big, huge kitchen knife, and he went up on the staircase up to this really beautiful crucifixion of Jesus on the cross that we had bought up in Michigan during one of our Christmas trips. And he looked up at Jesus and he said, Lord Jesus Christ, I'm doing this for you. And I was standing on the stairs right below him, and my mom and my brother, my sister were right at the base of the stairwell, and he lunged into the air, and I jumped up in front of him and ended up getting my hand sliced right here. I got a scar, and he buried that knife in her chest. And she fell into this side room, and I grabbed this vase, this huge, green vase, this big, thick vase. And I vividly remember just getting in protection mode, and I slammed it over his head twice, and it dazed him. And I have this vivid memory, this piece of cinematic memory, this stream of blood coming down his face. And we made eye contact, and he was in a daze. And he got up and ran out of the front of the house and ran into the neighborhood. And our mother was laying on the ground, bleeding and in shock. Ambulance, police, everything came, paramedics. They took her to the hospital. She was in the hospital for 4 months in critical condition, barely survived. And they said that if I hadn't have jumped up there to slow the knife plunge down, then it could have potentially went into her heart. But because of my deflection or whatever, it just barely missed it. The knife went right next to her heart and didn't puncture the heart. So she went into hospital for 3 or 4 months, barely made it out. He went to prison and was tried for attempted murder and ended up getting out, playing the insanity card, and ended up going through a series of halfway homes and quarter homes and all that stuff, rehabilitation things. She makes it out, 4 months later, comes home with a husk of her former glory. And a year into that, we ended up having to pick up and move to a different region because we became the black sheep of that region. Mitch and I, my brother and I, my twin brother and I, were already getting into a lot of trouble. And when that happened, we went off the rails. We were completely untethered and out of control. I ended up getting into all kinds of trouble when it comes to delinquency stuff. And we left that place and ended up moving around 4 times. we shifted around. This is when, and our mother was still in pretty bad shape. We ended up living in we went from living into a house to living in apartments, tiny little apartments. And we had to share a bedroom with our father. And my mother was in the other room with our sister. And then our other older brother was in prison. And we shifted around 3 or 4 times. And I went to 4 different high schools, ended up barely making out of high school. On the around the 5th year, I ended up dropping out for a year. And then it was in that context that I discovered art, and I went back and graduated from high school and then went to college. So what happened with this experience was so traumatic and so devastating that I still have nightmares about it. I still have anxiety about it. I still have major anxiety about constantly being on the move, never being settled, shifting, living out of, suitcases, living out. And in part, maybe that's why I'm a traveler, because that's what my default mode is. What happened with all of that stuff, though, it had such a profound impact on me that it ignited something in me to want to do something with my life so that I didn't get derailed. I'm getting a little excited and emotional here. But 4 years after the event, I should bring this up. 4 years after the event, my mother died. 2 years before that, so 2 years after the tragedy, after the stabbing, she had a series of strokes and heart attacks related to the stabbing, and she lost her ability to speak and to write. So she was basically, she couldn't communicate with you. She'd be in the house walking around and she'd make eye contact with, she would gesture with stuff. It was kind of like really hard to communicate. I was so upset and distracted with trying to find my way that I wasn't really present that often. And there was something that happened on the last year when she was around, because she kept handing me these classic books, like read this John Steinbeck, or read this Hemingway, or read The Scarlet Letter, or these favorite books she had, because she was very into literature and into literary interest and into music. And she would hand these books to me, and I took it as like a sign, like, I need to read this. Mom wants me to read it. And the first book that she ever gave me, which was super odd, was The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Yeah, John Steinbeck, which is a pretty thick tome for a first book. I don't know what happened, but I read it and I just fell in love with reading. And because of my mom inspiring me to do that, I became an avid reader at that moment. Is also at the same moment that I dropped out of high school for a year, and I spent an entire year with my mom at home. So my twin brother was off somewhere else. My sister had already moved out, moved in with her boyfriend. My father wasn't around at all that much. That's a whole nother story. And I was just me and my mom hanging out. And she would, when I started reading books, she would get so excited and was just like giggling with excitement that I actually read it. And she would hand me another one and another one and another one. And it was at that moment when I stayed home that I started drawing all the time. And I had all this free time. It was like homeschooling or unschooling in a way. Like, what would you do if you didn't have to go to school and waste 5 days of your work and 5 days of your week and 10 hours a day at school, being under the shackles of that authority? What would come out? What would upwell in you? And I started drawing, and I discovered that I was a great artist. And I obsessively started making artwork, like at a maddening pace, while I was also reading and taking in all kinds of periodicals and magazines and books. I was making art, and I really got heavily into a different trajectory of music, because prior to that, I was listening to a lot of rock and roll and a lot of like classic rock type stuff. And then from there, I started shifting into, I think, culturally more interesting stuff like world music and jazz and things like that. And it was in that process, that trauma, that heavy, intense distillation of the spirit, that dark night of the soul, that I had this passion, this undying passion to make art. And it was at that moment that I was like, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to be an artist. That's when I remember telling my mom that, and she was super excited. And I ended up going back to school it took me 6 years to get out of high school, dropped out for a year. So technically 5 years, but with a year off. And when I went back to school, I got straight A's. I was 100% focused on academic interest. I was focused on art, and I was pumping out art and keeping up with the studies and with my grades at a level I'd never seen before. Because prior to that, I was just a relatively average student, because I think I was so distracted with everything that was happening. And that during that time period when that stabbing happened, there was 1 year I got all F's. I just failed out of everything. And it was at that moment too, right around that time, that year that I got all F's, that's the year I dropped out. And then when I came back, it was pretty much A's and B's in artwork. And I was pumping out so much artwork that 2 teachers noticed my ability to make art was at a level, I think, generally higher than normal. And both of them insisted that I apply for art school. And I ended up, because of their inspiration, I ended up applying to an art school in Columbus, Ohio, and getting a 2-year scholarship. They had actually closed the scholarships down. And when I submitted the book, I went there with my father, showed him all this, like, a whole year of artwork. And they reopened the scholarship thing and said, we closed the scholarships 2 months ago, but we want you here so bad. We're going to reopen it and offer you a 2-year scholarship for $12,000, which at the time was a lot, $12,000 a year. And they said, if I would have come a few months ago prior, they would have given me the whole 4 years, the 4-year scholarship thing. But I ended up going to art school for 2 years. And when I was in art school, I was older. I'd already been through all of this stuff. I'd experienced all this trauma, experienced like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and then the trauma of that lifestyle. And I was pretty seasoned about life. And I had no interest in partying and chasing girls and like going out skateboarding or doing dumb shit or like being on the scene. So I ended up, when I was in school, I was pretty introverted. And I obsessively focused on my classes, ended up getting pretty much an, A+ in a lot of classes, double A+ in a lot of classes, and ended up getting a 4.8 GPA or 3.8. What's the one? Is it? Yeah, 3.8 GPA, which I think 4.0 is the best. Ended up getting an exceptionally good GPA on it, and just thrived, just had the best time ever. And ended up right after that is when I went to a state, so when the scholarship ran out, I moved back to Indiana because I was in Columbus, Ohio. And I ended up getting into tattooing in 1993. And still, one of the things that stuck out from me was my hyper-focused ability to stay focused on the need to manifest art at a maddening level. And anything that I focused in on, my research, my artwork, my friends that I had, they were, it was like a incredibly intense hyper focus. And I absolutely am certain that would not have happened if I didn't go through that experience, because I kind of felt I had hit rock bottom at a level that I wouldn't recommend to anybody, and a level that when I look back in hindsight was super sad and tragic. I lost my mom. I lost my entire family. I basically lost most of my I didn't have a normal teenage childhood at all. And it was in that context, though, that it ignited something in me. It's something upwelled in me. And to this day, I'm still hyper focused on everything I do. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And part of it, I think, what I used to say to my friends and stuff in passing is that I don't want my mom's life to be in vain, because I had these lost years when I was a teenager. And I want to make sure that I represent her lineage, because I'm her child, that I will make her proud of me in a way. And I've kind of held that torch to this day, and have really felt like that whole experience was a blessing. And I think that's one of the things that I want to stress here, is that this concept of victimhood right now happening in woke ideology and left-wing ideology I think is kind of ridiculous, because everybody has some form of trauma. It's just part of the human condition. It has nothing to do with anything but, welcome to the fucking, welcome to reality. Yeah. It's like, we all have our story. We all have our trauma and our tribulations and our pain. Like, get over it. Like, what the real question is that, what can I do with that? How can I distill that into something gold? How can I turn some base metals and some lead into gold? How can I, in the spirit of the alchemical transmutation of the spirit, which I think is more of a metaphor for spirit than it was to really try to turn base metal into gold. I think it was turning base consciousness into gold, is that through tribulation and sorrow and through the dark night of the soul, if you're ascending up the mountain and looking for spirit and looking for God and looking for the light or whatever, it's actually essential. I think that there's almost most of the really amazing people I meet have some interesting, fascinating, at times intense, traumatic backstory, which has distilled them into the rich persona that they are. So with that stated, that was one trauma that I had that I was able to wrestle and work with and put into the rearview mirror in a really loving, compassionate, accepting way, that I was able to upwell in me an attitude and a lifestyle and an ethos and a philosophy that I've been living with to this day. Tattooing hit in 93, went on a wild tattoo tear for like 15 years. And I'm going to just completely not talk about any of the wild mayhem and the beautiful glories and the highs and the lows and the wild story about that era. But what the second, kind of heavy moment for me was the night before I was turn 40. I woke up my 40th birthday, come to find out that my twin brother, an identical twin brother of mine, who looks exactly like me, we're literally identical twin brothers. We've been friends and brothers for 40 years, that he died the night before our 40th birthday in a tragic, ill-fated, alcohol-related car accident where he flipped his hot rod, 1972 Maverick hot rod, and he passed away.
I remember the video you did for that.
Yeah. I did do a lot of videos for him. He was quite a colorful character and a huge inspiration for me and hundreds of friends that he touched. And he was just a wildly beautiful, unhinged personality that was incredibly infectious and just a joy to be around. Losing him was absolutely traumatic. I was already under major pressure with my family at the time and with my workload to not let it affect my ability to sustain my ability to work and to keep up with the grind and to keep up with the pressure and to keep up with being booked out for 3 or 4 months with my tattoo schedule. So I was able to somehow internalize it and, put on the, just stay focused on getting through life. But what happened to me on a private level, in an intimate, personal level, is I was absolutely traumatized. I was shocked. I was sad. I was upset. But I don't ever tell anybody that. I keep that to myself. I'm always in a good mood. It's hard to read what I'm really feeling. And I think it's a generational thing. Like my generation, we kind of kept that stuff hidden. And we would just get through the day and just tip your hat, and say hi and smile. And so I was able to cloak that. But what happened, though, is I actually didn't handle it very well at all. I got I slowly, without realizing it, started embracing a lot of his lifestyle stuff and got into more and more into drinking and to partying. And to be honest with you, cocaine and drugs and late night mayhem and drinking a lot and partying a lot, going to shows. I was, my entire tattoo career, I've been going to live music the entire time. And for the most part, the first decade of it, I was never a drinker or a partier, but my brother introduced me to a lot of that. And I always kept a distance from it, but something happened with exceptions. He slowly introduced me to it. And I started getting a taste for the party culture, in part because I didn't party at all, because I partied so much as a teenager. I associated drug use with the tragedy that happened, because my brother would have been wildly loaded on a crazy cocktail. And if he hadn't have been doped up by Big Pharma when he was younger and hadn't have got so much into drugs in the 80s, then that probably wouldn't have happened. So the cause and effect reasoning was that, it's drug related. So I went through about an 8-year period where I was pretty much straight edge without being straight edge. I mean, I tattooed a lot of the straight edge kids. I was, into the music from a distance, but was more into it because a desperate need just to maintain a sense of normalcy and to function in this, with my burgeoning, very highly high octane career of being a very sought after tattooist, and was under major pressure to function and perform with a really unwavering schedule. I'm trying to get too lost here. And my brain's going in so many different directions because I don't ever really talk about this. So
Mitch died, you got to slowly started getting
Right.
into drugs.
Right. So that happened with Mitch. Mitch passing away. Something about what happened with everyone said as when he passed away as the years went by, they're like, man, it's almost like Mitch jumped into your body and he like, you know, it's almost like a possession thing, you know, like joking because all of a sudden I started carrying on like him. Since he was gone, I didn't have this wild, you know, honky tonk brother of mine that represented that archetype. And I was the nerdy, artsy kid who was introverted and kept quiet. And he was the wild, gregarious persona that was leading the charge of party mayhem late into the night and everybody following him, you know, clapping and yelling and boot stomping into the fucking night. Like he was the center of attention and everyone loved him for it. And I knew he was larger than life and had this huge gregarious personality. And maybe in part because of that, I kind of kept quiet, just watched it from a distance. When he died, I started doing that because I was missing him so much. And I think I started partying like him and carrying on like him and getting wild like him. And then
that's why they call them familiar spirits.
Yep. So once
the word familiar, like family, familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Once I opened up that floodgate of enjoying that energy field of being a little wild and being a little unhinged and having fun, you know, living life, living that honky tonk lifestyle, whatever, I can see the appeal. I can totally get it, man. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun, but it's reckless. It's dangerous. But it's also very, very, very unpredictable. It's unsustainable, and it could lead in total disaster, could end in total disaster.
All forms of escapism can. Like
right.
if you're doing something to escape as opposed to letting your hair down, you know?
So through that process of him passing, I ended up struggling with my own drug use and drinking, which I've just recently got under control in the last few years. When Grace and I met, she has a long history of abuse with her own story. And we were immediately able to share stories and have cautionary warning. And we decided pretty quickly, like, hey, why don't we just quit drinking? And it was just instantly like, yes, let's just get that out of the way. And when it comes to all the other stuff, we just don't do that stuff because we're not drinking. Usually the drinking is the catalyst for all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. And now we have this lifestyle where we just don't use we really don't do drugs at all. And it's fantastic.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. So I've gotten that completely under control, you know, and it's been wildly enjoyable. The other thing, so Mitch's death, you know, the stabbing I had when I was younger was absolutely insane. Mitch's death and Mitch's drug use and stuff, he was never able to process what happened to my mother and what happened to our family. And he constantly talked and was nostalgic and reminiscent about, you know, longing for my mother and longing for that time. And a big part of his sadness would come out, would upwell in him about that conversation. I was somehow able to shift it into something positive, and I never talked about it. I never processed. I didn't want anything to do with it. It was just kind of shut off, and I was just like galloping into the future. All I wanted to do was make art, research, study. So what happened, I think in part why he had such a problem with drug abuse is because of what happened to us as a kid, you know, plain and simple. I don't think he would have been so unhinged and so in that way if that hadn't have happened. So Mitch dies is the second one. And then the third one was right around the same time my father died, which I shouldn't say it was really sad. Let's just say that officially my father, he had Alzheimer's and he was in a home and he faded into obscurity. The last 2 times I saw him, he didn't recognize me. He had lost a bunch of weight and looked like he was like skeletal and tiny. And he just faded away, and we knew it was coming, you know, and it was sad, but it wasn't as traumatic as, say, the abruptness of like losing my twin brother, or the tragedy and trauma and the sadness of watching our mother slowly die after that stabbing. So that was like the third time. The fourth thing that came up in this general trajectory here would be, and this is another hard topic to talk about, which is really intense, is that in 2018, I got attacked by cancel culture and had somebody at a tattoo studio in New York City make a post that I attempted to like sexually assault her during a tattoo session. And at the zeitgeist of the time, and when the Me Too movement first started, when Weinstein just first got arrested and all that whole thing was upwelling, it was only a few months after the Weinstein thing. And right when the cancel culture was ramping up, you know, because the whole thing lasted a good 4 or 5 years, it's slowly fading off now. But right at the beginning of it, I had this one crazy, insane moment where I had this accusation. All I did was tattoo this, hate to say it, I'm not going to say the B word, but just tattooed her, and we had a really nice time, did a cool session, actually had a photo shoot afterwards. And then this post was made the next day, and it at the, you know how social media is, the accusation is the verdict, the kangaroo court madness of no due process and the insane phenomenon of the flash mob coming after you. And it literally came at me like a freight train. And for the most part, there's no way to defend yourself in that context. And it caused me to go in hiding for a few years, and I had to stay on the road, and it kind of catapulted me to the road. I had to leave Portland where I was. And
did the shop owner just kind of see it as more trouble than it's worth, or
what's that?
The shop owner, was it kind of like more trouble than it's worth, or did he believe it, or he or she?
Oh no. Well, what happened at the time is that at that moment, if you were accused of anything, it didn't matter what it was a lot easier for anybody affiliated with you to just disengage. They're like, you just have to leave. We don't want to deal with this. Like, if we even attempt to defend you or represent you, they're going to come after us and cancel us. So you have the stress of anybody being remotely affiliated with anybody, whether or not it was true or not, that's the travesty and the trauma of that type of kangaroo court and how they weaponized cancel culture and the Me Too movement, was that the accusation is the verdict. There's no due process. So because cancel culture was so aggressive and so threatening and so intimidating, is that the flash mob would come after anybody and everybody who even slightly suggested that, hey, can we get some more information before we have this, before we destroy this person's lives. So anybody who, basically what happened was that anybody who was affiliated with me would either had to step back from it and be like, I can't get involved with this thing. You got to go. So it was understood very quickly that I was really fired, but I was dismissed.
Right.
Because they didn't want to get attacked by cancel culture with the threat of them like boycotting them or trying to shut them down, or and it was anybody and everybody. Most people that were slightly adjacent to liberal ideology at the time were slightly, woke friendly or whatever. All of them had to side with it publicly. And then privately, so many of my friends were like, I'm so sorry what happened to you. I was so horrified and scared. I didn't say anything, but I didn't defend you because I was afraid they were going to come after me, and on and on and on. So that's a whole nother story about trying to talk about the phenomenon of that era and how it's compared to, I don't know, things like, just weaponizing social media in the context of trying to divide us all and get us all bickering among each other and destroy people's lives. So that experience was so traumatic because I was being misrepresented as this, some kind of predator, against women. And I've always been completely sweet and loving to women. I've never aggressively acted in any way like this. It's always been sweet and loving and, and attentive. And to be represented as an aggressor like that, or somebody who's violent, or somebody who's, a predator in that context, was horrifying because it was so far removed from who I really am. But there's no way to defend yourself in that context. Once they come after you, you basically have to retreat. There's nothing you could do. I did attempt to rise up and defend myself, and it just made the situation worse. Then they're like, he's toxic masculine. Look how aggressive he is. Look how it's like, why don't you own it? Why don't you just come out and admit it? It's like, because the all women are true. All women are right. All men are born rapists. All men are evil. all women are victims. You know, that rhetoric coming out from that area. I was traditionally I've been a liberal my entire life. I've been, you know, especially in the 90s and stuff, in the early 2000s. I was a lefty. I was hardcore. I was a lefty, man. I was like reading Noam Chomsky and Howard Zinn, and you know, I was taking all that stuff. You know, I was politically, you know, tuned into the lefty narrative. But what happened, I think, when Trump got elected, and really probably when Obama got elected, a lot of us started getting suspicious that something was compromised about that. So the shift into being more of a middle ground or politically neutral person, or maybe even a true anarchist, anti-statist type, you know, was at the beginning was probably when Obama. I think that's when the veil started lifting. And then when
you started hearing libertarian a lot.
Yep. And then when Trump got elected and the left went insane, that's when I really started getting nervous that I, you know, didn't want anything to do with what was happening in the liberal circles and stuff. And then when the attack on me happened, I did for about a year, I obsessively researched cancel culture at length. I took in thousands of hours of research, trying to get a handle on what was happening with that, how they corrupted that ideology and how they corrupted, you know, and weaponized the liberal circles. And that's a whole nother topic.
It's very Marxist. Yeah, it's a whole different topic, and it looks like we're about to launch your On the Road lifestyle. Would you like to take a little 5 to 7 minute break now, or like?
Yeah, hey, real quick, what can I say that I'll wrap this up? So when I come back,
whatever you want to do, man. We don't have
I'd like to change the topic. So those are in essence, you know, those moments in time were really intense and trying, and I really was struggled with it. But throughout all of that stuff, there was this silver lining, man, this phoenix rising up out of the ashes. And I don't regret any of them. All of them made me into who I am. Like now, because cancel culture, I'm a avid anarchist, anti-statist. I want nothing to do with the left or the right. It's almost like, you know, like weeded my garden in a way. I don't hang out with anybody who's adjacent to any one of those two extremes.
Same here.
So many positive things that have happened to me in my whole distillation of my spirit, my soul, and my being and my inner realm that I'm in. What direct cause and effect happened from all of this trauma and all this tribulation, this sorrow. And the sentiment, though, to anyone listening to is that in every experience, there's a silver lining. We talk about it all the time. Like, well, we'll go through a rough passage and be like, what's the silver lining? And we're looking for it. We're like looking under shit. We're like, it's around here somewhere, man. You know? And then what happens is you find the silver lining, you start pulling on it, you know, and you're like, all of a sudden this you know, floodgates open up and you're like, you know what? You look back in the rearview mirror, it's like, I'm so glad that crazy moment happened because look what we distilled out of that. So with that state, that's kind of my backstory about that. And it's made me who I am. It's made me stronger. Grace has her own shadow work that she's done, her own darkness that she's had to go through. And I've helped her upwell in her a sense of acceptance and joy in seeing all the good things that came out of that. And the best thing that came out of all of it is right here. You know,
there you go, man. Hey, I got the same kind of thing, even though I've only, you know, months out of alcohol abuse. I just hit 10 years of flat earth and 11 years off of opiates and heroin and all that.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if me going through the whole opiate and big pharma crash out in 2014 didn't just pry me open just enough to accept what all I was going to learn in 2015. You know what I mean? Like if I wouldn't have bottomed out that way, if I wouldn't have had the right mindset to hear it the right way.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, because like March is my anniversary, was my 10-year anniversary of FE, and I got 11 years off of drugs.
Wow.
Which alcohol later became just as bad. But
oh yeah, I get it. But well, yeah, so there's silver lining in everything. I think
that was my point. Sorry.
Look at us now. Yeah, look at us now. Look at you, man. Look how handsome. Look at how much you're glowing. You're like some starlight or something. You're glowing. So, well, yeah. With that stated, we could take a break here. But yeah, there's always the sun rises in the darkest of the night. You know, so just wait for those sun rays to come over the horizon, and then jump onto one of them and ride into the new dawn.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm gonna run these real quick. You guys want to take a?
What are you gonna play?
We got our normal commercials and a little promo for Lowry's doing a big release August 1st with his Lowry is the name of his band, and a lot of people call him just Lowry online. His name's Alex Lowry. So we're just trying to get behind his big release. He's got
it's exciting.
It's like 50 tracks, like well produced stuff, and we're working on pushing that. I got some promo ideas I want to do.
I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to. That's a whole nother topic is music, man. We could talk at length.
It's so awkward, man. Some of the people that I'm close friends with, I'm genuinely fans of their art and music. And I know it comes off like I'm just trying to promo my friends, but we're about to have He Is Legend singer on, Norma Jean singer on. I love Lowry's music. Like Steph, I'm wearing a Deftones shirt right now. Steph's one of us now.
Jason Day West shirt.
I've known these guys since the 90s, and now Steph's like been on Strange World with Mark Sargent like
that's cool
3 or 4 times now. But yeah, let me play these and we'll come back to you hitting the road.
All right.
Muted.
Other Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Frequently asked questions. More resources. Books divided into your favorite categories. Shopping for that perfect Flat Earth item. Homeschool section. Featured content creators, biblical cosmology, old world research, video search feature, games. The Meetup Maker will help you find your local tribe. Matchmaker, to help you find that special someone. Search your selected radius and say hello. Image search for those key images at your fingertips. Enjoy our chat section. Selected new background in our settings area. Time lapse, zodiac, and time zones. The Friend Finder helps you see where all the cool people are hanging. Use your referral code and earn points and Dome cryptocurrency. Esoterica. Fire. Ice. Air. Water. Save the date. October 17, 18, and 19, 2025. Esoterica.
All right. We are back. I think. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Hey.
I
we are in Nags Head, North Carolina, and we are at the Seahorse Inn. So we have arrived.
Ray, I see you. I'll listen to it later. Kind of running the show right now. Waiting on Watson to get back. Man, that sounds so good. I really hope whenever you get landed, Alex, that we can mess around with that commercial idea that I have.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
like I said,
I'm
stealing it straight up from that failure documentary on Hulu. But it's so hard hitting the way they did the edit on that documentary. Whenever they're just talking about, like the documentary is chronological, and they'll have like Maynard from Tool or this guy talking about, Failure's early days. And then it'll talk about when they got in the studio for a song, and it'll fade in to a clip that looks not unlike your clip from the promo I just played, and have a little title of what you're hearing, and they'll fade back out and get back into the interview clips. And it's just so hard hitting. A little 5-minute video like that will sell 8 copies.
These days, maybe 9,
right.
maybe 9, maybe 10.
So you are selling
Sombrero, guys.
Sorry,
I'm back.
You are going to be selling like individual, and you can do like the whole record, right? Or
yeah, it's going to be the new record, Night Movies at Beach 97's August 1st, but there'll be an option to buy the entire catalog, which is 8 total works over the course of 20 years. So we'll talk about it more next week.
Okay.
But yeah, looking
I'm
forward
excited to
to
hear it. Super excited
man,
to
I
hear
can't
it.
wait to play it for you. Yeah, I can't wait for people to hear it. And most of you guys out there, you'll know it by one of the songs just actually slipped out there and got onto one of the broadcasts, which is Sargent's broadcast. The song Mars has been playing on the back end of that show for a good long time. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was never supposed to get out to anybody. We pulled it back off, but Mark asked if he could play it, and he's been spinning it. And so there's 7 more songs after Mars on that record that I can't wait for everybody to hear. So anyway, let's get back to
I know I'm going to say it backwards, but I like
Watson,
Waves and Tides even better. Sorry.
That's okay. It was a flattered song too.
We are going to go and check into our room.
Yeah.
And we will be on Wi-Fi, and the kittens have arisen, so you'll get to see them. And yeah.
We will be back very shortly. Watson, the floor is yours, buddy.
But wait, hold on. Before you go, I just had the craziest. I had the craziest experience because they have a virtual check-in. So there's like a computer there, and I'm talking to a dude on a computer checking in. It was
so
just
weird.
like the weirdest experience.
Seahorse Inn.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. I was like, "Is this AI?" I was like, "What is happening?"
No,
So,
no.
all right, yes, continue. We'll be back.
Back a bit, guys. Cheers.
Okay, room 329. It's on the 3rd floor. So we'll get a view.
Okay. All right.
Well, hey Rico.
Yep.
That whole backstory. That's it. That's my. I could talk more at length, more in depth. If anybody ever wants to contact me and, send me their phone number and share, become friends, feel free to get my number through Rico or something. And, we could talk about more things associated with that, or your own personal journey you had and how you found your way through this convoluted matrix that we're in, and how you somehow were able to distill gold out of your trauma. I'm available. I'm always looking for new friendships. So feel free to get my number from Rico and send me a text, and we'll start talking, and maybe we'll meet at one of these conferences like Esoterica we're planning on going to. I've been to almost all of the Flat Earth conferences and been to a lot of the Mark Passio ones, the Anarchy conferences, the Free Your Mind conferences, go down the list. It's I love to show up at these conferences, and the one coming up in October, Esoterica, I'm super excited about.
Passio is the ex-Satanist, right? Like,
yes.
You know what? I know he does the guys that I forget the term for it, but like military and police, the order followers.
He's got he's got the one on feminism and the one on he has a toxic feminine one, toxic masculine, the order follower ones, and then the one on the epigenetics of neo-feminism movement. Mm-hmm. He's got an 8-hour lecture on natural law, which is essential.
I was about to say natural law is a big thing.
He also has a bunch of shows on unocculting magic and occult ideas. I really think he's a phenomenal research and an intellectual of the highest order. He's kind of like a present day Manly P. Hall. I've met him a few times, and he's intense. He's as intense in person as he is in his lectures.
Wow.
Nice, light guy, but very serious, and I admire that. I'm kind of the same way. I'm a little bit more playful socially than he is, a little bit more relaxed. But there was a time when I was younger that I would resonate with that kind of intense vibe. And I've relaxed a lot socially over the years. But yeah, hats off to Mark Passio and to dozens of other research and content creators over the last 20, 25 years that I've followed. A lot of them I'm really not, following much anymore in the post Flat Earth era since 2015. And now there's even more that I started, kind of lost my allure for in the post Tartaria. And now with the millennial reign thing that's come off, my focal point's gotten even more focused than ever. So I just, if you're not brave enough and intellectually sovereign and free enough to realize that the geocentric model is overwhelmingly more accurate than the heliocentric one, and if you try to dismiss the Tartaria narrative as disinformation, I just have no interest in.
I don't dismiss it at all. In fact, I follow it heavily, but for some reason I tend to call it hidden history.
I like that too.
Tartaria seems. I'm not saying I know that it's a misnomer, but it feels like a misnomer by calling it Tartaria. So I believe most of the Tartarian theories, if you will. Like I do believe that,
I like old world.
Old world, yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
It's a little bit more, not as loaded, doesn't have the specific reference to whether or not Tartaria was a global empire civilization that reigned, especially with the millennial reign thing about it reigning for 1,000 years or whatever. But I like to use the word old world as a
old world's even better than hidden history because it's more accurate to what I'm trying to say. Because I'm definitely one of those guys. I don't like proper nouns because usually when you use a proper noun, like the singer from He Is Legends coming on, think next month, like the 10th of August, and he's really into it. And I used Tartaria with him because I was trying to pick his mind to see what he wants to talk about, because he's a big conspiracy guy, and I didn't even know that. I'm actually a fan of their band and known him forever.
Which band?
And He Is Legend.
Oh yeah, I've heard him before.
They're actually named after the book I Am Legend, which later became a movie, but they were that before. He's really into books. Everyone I know that listens to He Is Legend likes them. They're like, they're heavy, and then they're not. HBO did a documentary called Gone in the Dark about a comedian's wife wrote a book and solved the case of a serial killer, and she ended up dying mysteriously. And I always forget the comedian's name, but it was on HBO, and He Is Legend's record, White Bat, is a concept record. The whole album is about the same thing the book Gone in the Dark is about, and he scored that documentary for HBO. God, what is that comedian's name? He looks like a midget. Oh my God. Like, he's got a real chubby face. He's also in movies.
I don't keep the comedian.
You would know him though. Like, I can't stand
my favorite comedian of all time is Bill Hicks. Rest in peace.
Mine is Mitch Hedberg, but I love Bill Hicks too.
Yeah. Well, that was my introduction to like rogue comedians or off the beaten path comedian personas, and then from there I've always looked for similar types of, never quite met found anybody like Bill Hicks, but there's some great
Bill Hicks is a bit deeper than Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg is just he's like, but he's part of that same clique in my mind, like the George Carlin would be in that clique.
George Carlin's a great one.
Bill Hicks, don't you mean Alex Jones? I don't know, man. There's some pretty convincing stuff there. Like,
was Jim Morrison? Is he Rush Limbaugh?
I've seen some good stuff there. Like a lot of those are ridiculous, but some of them, man,
super compelling. I couldn't get around the Alex Jones and Bill Hicks, but I definitely can see Jim Morrison. I can definitely see Jim Morrison and Rush Limbaugh. It is stunningly compelling. Like his face, it looks like a fat Jim Morrison and all the moles and
I know. Hey, the Bill Hicks stuff, man. Like, why did Alex Jones accept a comedic award? Alex Jones actually accepted an award on Bill Hicks' behalf on stage. Like, you can see the clip, but why would he do that? And that's before that whole conspiracy too. That clip you can find was before people were saying that. So I don't know, man. Hey, Josh, were you kidding or yay or nay?
He was kidding and not kidding,
Right. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies that I stay on the fence, safely on the fence, but wouldn't surprise me,
Yeah,
I mean, like
opinion about a lot of conspiracies, and I think I'm kind of over the mark on most of them, but man, the Mandela effect, I just like throw my hands up. I can't.
That's me too. Like, I don't believe 100% of them are, but there's a few that I'm just like, damn.
And I think that's disinformation, because that's what first came out. The first wave of alternative media was like, it's CERN. It's like, oh, is it? I don't know. I just don't know.
I think CERN's about portals. It could be. You know what? That's why I say stay safely on the fence.
Yeah.
But I will say there's some Mandela effects that blow my mind.
Oh, man, every few months I have to do like updated Mandela effects for 2024.
Yeah.
And I'll go off the rails for a few hours, get updated on them, and that shit's fucking fascinating, man.
Well, I love the residues. Like, someone just found like
residues are what's
some beach boardwalk. You know how like the boardwalk, like wow, really? Fuck you, brain. Either way, like the boardwalk where you do your shopping right along beaches,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the city I'm picturing, but anyway, it's one of those, and there's a bunch of shops, and there's a clothing shop on the boardwalk of a beach, and it has someone hand painted the logos. And there's a Fruit of a Loon with a cornucopia that was hand painted, and you could tell it's a really old painting too.
Yeah.
Like,
no, the residue effect is what's so the fact that they do parody videos of Luke, I am your father, or somebody else, just like, that right there, it's just like, it's just befuddled, just just clueless. I don't know. Anyway, the sentiment is that one thing I wanted to bring up, and I think this is in part inspired by the fact that I thought initially when we were going to get on this show that we were going to go a deep dive and talk about all this.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sorry. I went off the rails there.
No, you did not go off the rails. I'm just pulling the aperture out to get a handle on this 3-part series, which I think, might be the end of this series for now. I usually will I like to do a podcast about once a year to kind of update the narrative, get in a conversation mode with some cool content creators like yourself, and then go dark for a year and then resurface. So I kind of I usually do an official photo shoot every year with some photographer, and then I'll do an official podcast update every year. So this is in part in that tradition of, what.
Yeah. Well, even if we get your story done, I'm going to have you back just as a regular.
That sounds great. With all that stated, I was really kind of excited that this whole series, or I didn't even know this was going to turn into a little triad or trifecta trio series. I just thought one and done was going to be it, and then it evolved into what it is now, which ends up being a deeper, richer, more soulful, personal story about my ideas about a lot of different things, and about some of the experiences I've had in my life that have helped form me into the person that I am at this day, which is exciting to have been able to share that. But I initially was like ready to like throw myself into the front lines and just start throwing hatchets and just like having fun doing the conspiracy conversation and try to connect all the dots, which maybe we could do that someday in the future. But what I'd like, with that stated, instead of going off the rails on that one, which I'm sure a lot of people would enjoy, I think what a lot of listeners would also enjoy talking about is that as much as you research and try to get a handle and try to grapple a lot of these interesting topics, as you're desperately seeking some truth and logos and reason in this convoluted era of deception and manipulation and lies, as we're attempting to lift the veil and see what this realm is really about, which is really what this whole community to me represents, is this love of truth and this care for the truth, and the truth, I think, is, it's infallible. It's and it's made of radiating light. It's starlight. It's pure spirit. It's pure consciousness. It's God. It's whatever, however you want to define God. It's like truth is the breath of God, and it's tangible. And I feel like to a certain extent, I've gotten really close to the truth on so many different topics. But the thing outside of that, we can do all this research that we want, and we can try to unveil all this occulted stuff. But at the end of the day, what matters more than that is what your spirit, what wells in your spirit, and what kind of artwork, like the creative act. So I've always got frustrated with this community, because I'm like, if we were just born and raised in this utopian, era of love and care and truth, and we weren't deceived. We were born into the geocentric realm. We were born, gazing upon the great mystery, and we were taught all of these beautiful ideas that we're attempting to grab onto and unveil. If we were living in that utopian type of culture, like, say, for lack of a better metaphor, like the millennial reign idea of 1,000-year reign, where we were all walking amongst ascended masters, and we're living hundreds of years and studying and researching everything in, from architecture and literature and dance and fabric art and music. And, you could career shift every 50 years because you were probably living 300, 400, 500, 600 years. Who knows how long some of those, some of the people were living back then. Is that what would I be doing if I wasn't spending so much fucking time trying to look the darkness in the eyes and being like, I want some truth. Give me some fucking truth. I just want some truth. Like John Lennon said in that great song, just give me some truth. All I want is some truth, And what would I be doing if I wasn't, I shouldn't say wasting so much time, but if I wasn't so charged to try to get a handle on this? What kind of artwork would I be making? What would I be upwelling in me that I would want to share with in this beautiful transcendental realm that we're in. So one of the things that I've really made sure over the years that, and why I don't believe in anyone ever getting black pilled, is that in the creative act, you can really find who you are in this unbelievably like rich, deep reservoir kind of upwells in you when you start composing music or writing poetry or painting or dancing or designing, interesting artwork, or working with, architecture or math or transcendental science, whatever it is that you're charged to do, whatever your love is, whatever your passion is, that to me is, that rises over and is more important and should take a precedent over doing all this fucking research all the time and trying to keep up with all this rhetoric. So there's so many times over the years that I really make sure that as I'm also doing all this deep diving into this, I'm also doing a deep dive into my spirit. And my spirit, really, I was charged in this world, in this realm, in this incarnation to make art. I'm an artist, I'm a visual artist. And also part of that is I like poetry, and I like to read, and I like music, and I like literature, and I like philosophy, and I like mythology, and I do have an academic intrigue that is just part of my love of this realm that we're in. But really, when I'm left to my own devices, I just make art. I just love the creative process. And it was in that trauma, that experience I went through when I was younger, that upwelled in me, that as I hit rock bottom and I saw the darkness, afoot, and our family was destroyed, and my mother passed away, and I was, cast off to the road at a young age when I left home at 18. And I was off on my own and had to go to art, basically been on my own since I left home, and had the blessing to go to art school and really learn a lot about art theory and the academic approach to art, and art ideas and art concepts, and really was able to learn about illustration and painting and sculpture and graphic design and et cetera, on and on and on, while also learning about the history of art and studying art. And then within that community, within the art scene, listening to so much interesting, cool music, I was just overwhelmed with being introduced on a cultural level to the underground, subterranean bohemian art scene. And with that comes this incredibly rich tapestry that is so full of like excitement and joy and wonder and enchantment that I just got, pulled off into this river of creative novelty for years on end. And I've never lost it. I've never lost that love and that allure and that passion I have for being able to embrace the creative process. So I think that's one thing I wanted to bring up, is that I think that's in part why we're really here, is to find what your mission is, find what you love to do outside of research. We all like to do research. We all have that in common. That's what we all have. Okay, we can talk about all this cool stuff. Hey, have you checked this out? Have you heard about this? What do you think about this? Oh, okay. Sometimes it gets old. It's like, God, I fucking heard it all. I love talking about this. I'll never stop talking about it. But like, why doesn't the conversation sometimes revolve around, hey, what are you making? Are you writing some poetry, or what's the latest book you read? Like the fact that Lowry is promoting this album that he released is exactly what I'm talking about. We need art, and we need poetry, and we need literature, and we need music, and we need to build big temples into the sky, and we need to co-create and reflect the breath of the creator, and to bring this army, this battalion of angelic, ascended beings pushing us along back up this mountain of light back to this creator. So that's in part why I've also, all of the artwork that I've made, overwhelmingly, I refuse to make dystopian, nihilistic, existential art that's bleak and dark and gothic just because it's cool. I totally get the allure. I totally get the allure of like the dark bliss movement of the 90s. I get the romance of the nihilistic existential crisis of postmodern modernity. Like
speaking of Giger, you brought up HR.
Yeah. No, he was a monumental force in the night. I mean, it was and I, that's what inspired the whole biomech movement in the tattoo.
No. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying, speaking of darkness, like
H.R. Giger, yeah, exactly. That's the high priest of the visual art scene. So the sentiment, though, is that even back then, I was aware of that. I was seeing all this artwork being made, and I saw this existential, collapse of the culture and the nihilism being run rampant. And I, for some reason, just intuitively, I never got involved in that. I kept a distance from it. And all of the tattoos that I made, the illustrations, the paintings, the artwork, overwhelmingly, if you look at the history of my creative process, all of it's reflecting and brimming with a higher level love of the beauty in this realm. It's almost, in a way, it's celebrating the elusive realm of what is beautiful. And that's why I like to think that I make really beautiful, stunning art that is charged with spirit and consciousness and like, I don't know, this like giggling joy for this magical realm that we're living in. So I guess to wrap all this up and allow you guys to contribute in this, is like, what really matters more than anything in this incarnation is to reflect and manifest from your soul some creative document that reflects your spirit, that reflects your essence. And like with Grace, she's making incredibly stunning, beautiful jewelry. She just made this one recently. And her stuff has such finesse. We get up close here. Where are we at here? There we go. So, and
is that a rune or?
It's a bind rune. So it's like two different ones.
It's got the Christian cross and the rune in it, which both of them together are two separate symbols overlaid. And then they collectively make the A symbol for anarchy,
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
But the sentiment, though, is that she's making this super beautiful artwork that's just absolutely gorgeous and stunning. And she's just focusing on jewelry work, but it has such finesse and such elegance and such. It has this resonant energy about it. And she just loves doing it. And to see her glowing and happy and thriving in the process of unearthing this side of her that she's discovered in the last few years has been a joy. And what I've noticed is that anybody, I think, who is really attempting to find that artisan or find that poet or find that the muse within themselves to start creating some type of artwork, and especially if the artwork is resonating at and representing some higher level ideas and isn't full of nihilism and darkness and bleakness.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do here with this podcast. This was my whole idea, was to be a light take on conspiracy. And even though it's only 2 hours once a week, I put a lot of work into it, which brings me joy, which is why I'm doing the solo Sombrero, the Hurricane Rico files.
Yep.
And even that's not going to be enough. Like, so I'm picking up what you're throwing down in the sense that putting out positivity in the world and not just being bleak and like, nihilistic. I mean, because there's nowhere to go with that, there's
nowhere to go. Yeah. And I think that's what the darkness, that's what they want. They're attempting to fill your empty vessel full of nihilism, full of bleakness. And
apathy. Apathy is a killer.
Absolutely. They're weaponizing apathy. That's what the cremation of care was out in Bohemian Grove. Was the spiders come not near. Weaving spiders come not here is near or here is that idea that they weaponized apathy. And that's what
really, I always wondered what that meant.
Well, a weaving spider, we're weaving spiders. We weave webs. We create art.
I thought it meant like no talk of business here.
No, a weaving spider is someone who's full of industry, who's independent, who's we're weaving spiders.
Hey, Andrew, by the way, I'm sorry, dude. We're trying to get through a part 3. And I'm already, every time I talk, I feel like I derail them.
No problem. I just got home. I was just doing electrical work all day. So, but
come on in. You've been here for a moment. What do you think about some of the stuff we said?
Oh, I think your story is absolutely fascinating, also tragic at the same time. But it does take a lot of effort to basically expound upon that to it's a small audience, but either way, it's like a form of therapy in a way. And in regards to art, I do oil paintings, I do sculptures, and also I do a lot of stuff with engineering and that kind of stuff. So I know exactly, and I went to art school as well, private art school. My parents sent me to when I was pretty young, and they said, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be like this prodigy or something like that." But yeah, when you were mentioning Gothic art, there is this. It's kind of weird and abstract. I'm not sure if you guys want to see it, but it's actually very, very talented. There's a guy named.
And by the way, real quick, there's no time limit tonight, so
okay.
Well, I'm just letting Watson know that we're going to hear everything you want to get out there. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, please. And I do also have tattoos. I don't have as many as I think I should have, but I only have 5.
I want so many more. I can't tell you how unfulfilled I am.
Same here. Once you fucking sorry. Wow, I got the F-bomb in for the night. Once you open that box, that can of Pringles, you eat the whole thing. All right, go ahead, Andrew.
All right, so there's this guy in regards to art. I saw this on this TV show called Oddities, where he was coming into this store in New York City and trying to sell some of his art. And it's really unique because he paints with his own blood. Have you ever seen this guy before?
Paints his no.
I'm not going to show it unless people want to see him, and he's really fucking talented.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me state that not that Gothic. I didn't mean Gothic in a sense of a negative connotation. Some of my favorite artwork, it has a Gothic overtone to it. So even somebody who might working with their own blood, I'm sure can make really beautiful stuff. So
yeah, it's all like in this, what do we call that, sepia, like the brownish type of color. And he here, I'll just show you guys. So okay, so this is him, and yeah, he looks a lot like Anton LaVey, which I'm not really into, but you can look at some of his art, and that is him.
Oh, I have definitely seen this artwork.
Yeah. I have too.
Some of it's pretty twisted.
You got the Ouroboros.
Well,
like
this is what I'm talking about. There's a romance and allure to what I call the dark bliss in artwork, and this is how could you not be captivated and allured and drawn into this world, because it is it's technically highly proficient and visually very riveting and stunning, and it's very seductive and and
go
very
back up.
very.
I want to see that sigil. Let me see that sigil. Up right above that. I think that sigil.
Oh, that's the Fibonacci.
No,
it's more. It's a Fibonacci with it, but it's a sigil.
Yeah. He's worked some of that spell magic and the sigil magic into it. Yeah, but he's made his own little.
That's really cool, man. I wonder what it means.
I've done all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, this stuff.
Well, don't you have a sigil in your hand? Am I mistaken?
I have all over the place. I got them on my neck, hands. I'm like covered in all. If you look at my artwork, I do a lot of sigils.
The singer from He Is Legend that's going to be on next month has a sigil on his hand. It's I know it's got like a bunch of lines, and there's a pitchfork on one end.
All of them are brimming with high level natural law concepts. I refuse to do sigils that have any dark connotation to them at all. So even though they look occulted, or some people might criticize them for looking like satanic, they're not satanic at all. They're actually full of white magic. They're meant to lift the spirit, upward. They're ascensionist sigils and not descensionist, not crushing it.
Right. Well, I do know that there's a common belief that, or it might be true as well, but a common belief that sigils are to bring specific demons into consciousness.
Well, that's if that's your intention, sure. A lot of the demonology sigils and stuff is absolutely intended for that. So that's black magic.
Intent's like a big deal. A lot of people, like people that don't believe in magic, my favorite thing that I've ever heard, now it's become so mainstream that everyone's like, well, I've heard that before, but they'd be like, I don't believe in magic. And you just say, okay, a red basketball, picture it. And the guy, okay, I'm picturing it. It's like, well, I just created something from nothing. Done. That's magic on its most base form. And so intent is a big part of magic. But go ahead. this is a very non-magical person trying to describe magic.
Also, too, what your objective is with whatever it is that you're manifesting. So if the objective is to upwell, love and compassion and care and some healing modalities around that artwork, then that is the intention. That's what the objective is. But with a lot of the darker stuff, it has nothing to do with that. It's just seducing you into a darker place in a very attractive way. So it's usually you have to have a cautionary warning about what you flirt with, especially with a lot of the music out there. Most of my friends in the 90s that got into Skinny Puppy and Ministry and a lot of that industrial music are literally dead now. They're 6 feet under from heroin overdoses. Because that goes along with the territory, and anybody who got too far into that industrial gothic music scene either never made it out alive, or 6 feet under, or are a shadow of their former self.
That went hand in hand with that whole scene.
Oh, it was an absolutely existential nihilist takeover of the music scene, and any of my friends who got involved in that. They descended down into the darkness, all in the spirit of being cool and being hip and loving the darkness and embracing it. And then it ended up sealing their fate. So I had two really good friends who died of heroin that were their favorite bands were Ministry and Skinny Puppy. I tattooed a full H.R. Giger sleeve on a guy who was a really talented guy. He made really beautiful art similar to that one guy you just showed me, and he blew his heart out with taking too much heroin. Died.
That's part of the 27 club. Because all those musicians, they all died of heroin overdoses or self asphyxiation.
Yep.
Al Jurgensen.
That's the slippery slope with that scene, is that it can lead down to a path. That's black magic. White magic is the 5-pointed pentagram with spirits at the top, so you get that star spirit, and then the elementals, fire, water, earth, air, and all the elementals. This realm we're in right now, this portal realm. Sorry about that, Bonnie. I can't knock at the table. So you get those 4 elementals, and you use those elementals in this realm, in this body, in this incarnation. You lift the spirit upward. It's ascensionist magic. And
so is that why the inverted pentagram would be
they inverted
satanic, because the spirit's on the bottom?
They use all the elementals to crush the spirit, because the 5th element is spirit. It's consciousness right here, so right there, spirit, fire, water, earth, air, and spirit, conscious, God, love, care, hope, all those things you associate with like natural law. That's all embedded within that. And that in Satanism, they just flip it, and they are using all the elementals to crush and push down the spirit. So that's why when you look at artwork, I do it all the time. I'm like, does it lift the spirit or does it crush it? If anything crushes the spirit, if it causes it to wilt, it's a form of black magic. If it causes it to blossom and open its petals up to the ascend up to the light, then it's white magic, light magic. And that's why so much music it crushes it. There's so much darkness out there, so much darkness in artwork and in culture and in movies and cinema. I mean, look at the allure and the love and romance around like modern day horror films, or like, oh my God, I keep up with some of these stuff because historically I like horror films, but some of the ones nowadays are fucked. It's insanely dark. And you watch the thing, oh man, that was so cool, that was crazy, but was it really good for us to watch stuff like that? Especially if I have some friends that are addicted to horror, they watch it all the time, and their worldview's bleak, their energy's bleak, they're dark.
Yeah. Have you seen Hereditary?
Fuck,
dude.
Horrifying.
Man, I mean, and the more I dig into what's really going on with that movie,
right? So
Ari Aster, the guy that did Hereditary and Midsommar,
wow.
Like that dude's messing with the spirit realm. You don't just write that kind of darkness. And so and Midsommar is the scariest daytime movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. You have to be really careful with that kind of media, because it can seduce the spirit and it can put it in a dark place. And the other thing that's really horrifying about that is how a lot of that seeps into and influences your dream theater, the dream realm. We haven't even talked about that whole idea. So I can't tell you how many times I have night tremors at night, probably directly related to some of the media and some of the movies, some of the music I've taken in over the years. And when I do just the opposite and I fill it full of more uplifting sentiments, my dreamscapes, are directly influenced by more uplifting cultural intrigue and artistic and creative and loving intrigue. And it, makes the dream world exponentially more enjoyable. So you got to be careful how that stuff can get embedded in your soul and your spirit. When you do ayahuasca, one of the things that what I talk about is that you absolutely have to, when you take your drink and you're waiting for that wave to hit you, if you're not filling your vessel full of like love and care, joy and like compassion, I'm here representing, light and, the Godhead. I'm showing allegiance to the angelic realm. If you don't fill yourself with like, a warrior of like love and care, the darkness will fill it full of the darkest trip you will ever have. It will just consume you with horror and fear and regret and anxiety and stress and an absolute, and I've experienced it before in that realm. And what the only way to do to push it back out of it is to get back in your heart space and to center yourself and be like, I'm a being of love and care. I'm not in allegiance with the darkness. I'm with the light. I'm with the light. Step the fuck back. You shall not pass. You shall not pass. Get the fuck out of here. And all of a sudden, within a few minutes, you're back in your heart, and then you're brimming with like this energy, and your fractal energy feels exponentially going outwards, and all of a sudden you're brimming with light, and there's no darkness afoot, except you could see it like off in the distance, like waiting for you to not be off guard. And that's what the culture is doing. So many people are off guard. They're not centered in their spirit. They're not strong in their conviction of being like a fucking warrior, being like, you shall not fucking pass.
How many times have you done ayahuasca?
20 times.
Wow. Okay. I've never done it. I've done loads and loads of psilocybin, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's the same thing with psilocybin. So I had a friend of mine about a year ago, we dosed together, and we were out in the woods, and I was having a good time, and I told him, I was like, stay positive. I'll see you in a little bit. I come back to him like a half hour later, and he's sitting on the couch panicking. He's having a panic attack, and the darkness has consumed him. He's in his dark world. He's having a dark night of the soul or whatever, a bad trip, so to speak. And I immediately walk up to him, and I was like, oh my God, hey, are you okay? I should have checked in on you earlier. And I was like, come with me. I was like, take your shoes off. Let's go outside. And we go outside, and we were standing on the side of this mountain, and I grounded him in the earth so he gets the resonant human frequency, emanating from the earth. I just had him focus on breath, like breathe in, breathe out, stretch your arms. And I was like, and look up to heaven and be like, I'm a being of light, I'm a being of care, whatever. And I helped expel the darkness and got him centered in where he's brimming with like, Christ consciousness. He's having his Kundalini moment of like pure energetic, bliss. Within 10 minutes, I had him so tuned into that world. And then we're like holding hands, like side by side, making sure he was like still there, just two guys tripping, holding hands. And he just opens up to that world. And all of a sudden he is like, fucking thank you, man. You saved me. Like, I can't believe the contrast and the difference. So what I've taken from that realm is that isn't everyday life like living, like when you wake up in the morning, isn't it kind of like waking up into a psychedelic? Isn't life like tripping in a way that it's so wildly psychedelic and overwhelming and intense? And in that realm, in a psychedelic trip, if you want to have a good trip, you want to go into ayahuasca or psilocybin or mushrooms, whatever it is, or THC, and you want to have a good trip, you got to center yourself. You got to say, I'm a being of love and care. And I want to have a really great transcendental experience here. I want to walk amongst the mystics, and I want to.
DMT doesn't last very long, right? Because like mushrooms, usually, or psilocybin,
ayahuasca will last.
DMT, like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean that's long enough. Usually the peak lasts about 2 hours, but the whole thing is about 4 hours. It's manageable. And before I really learned, because ayahuasca taught me how to be a being of love and light and care, And the first time I ever did it, it was neutral. It was like half was was good, half was bad, half was dark. It was like a crazy juxtaposition of like love and fear, you know, light and dark. And I was like, whoa, that was fucking intense. But the loving side of it, you know, inspired me to go back in that realm. The second time I did it, it was a hell sequence. I actually, oh man, I can't believe I'm even talking about this shit. But I was down in the up in the mountains of North Carolina. This is like probably 15 years ago, and I came up. I was inside of a house. This AC was going, and I hate modern day appliances when I'm tripping. So I go outside immediately to get away from the frigid air and the AC. And I was like, I didn't even know why I was in there. I should have been out in my van or out in the tent. And immediately I see this skeleton figure is like. I'm standing on these skeleton feet of this like 9-foot skeleton, and his arms were wrapped around my arms, like he was holding on to me like this. And then as I was walking, he was walking, and I was standing on his feet. And I would look up at him, and I was like, "Holy fuck! Like what the hell?" And he was like, it was like the Grim Reaper was like, you know, like puppeteering me along. And I look up, and I immediately started to giggle. I started to laugh because I knew I was being presented with, you know, whether or how I was going to react to this, because it was testing me. So with that stated, fire and brimstone and all these demons were flying around me, and it was like a real dark, crazy hell sequence. I came and looked down this mountain, and there's this enormous cauldron of like this maelstrom spinning with like thousands of spirits and souls getting sucked down into this thing, is all screaming with agony, and all these bats and these demons were flying all around it, like laughing and prodding them and shit. The whole thing was on fire. It was like the classic hell visuals. Like I was literally like seeing it, like I was at the, you know, like Dante and the, you know, like walking amongst the gates of hell and stuff. So, but I was laughing at the same time because I knew I was tripping, and I was like, I cannot get scared. They're trying to seduce me and show me. They're trying to. So I started laughing, being like, you know, I'm not showing allegiance. I'm a creature of love and light. I look over to my van because I was still living on my van back then, or I had another van. The entire van was in the belly of this enormous snake. It was like this translucent, glowing, huge snake that wrapped around. It was like, you know, 10 feet tall, and then my van was in the belly of this thing. And I was like, holy fuck, holy shit. Okay, I need to get to my van because that's like my safe place, you know, whatever. And I go into my van and climb into my van. Right when I open up the doors, this is like probably like 2:00 in the morning. It's all lit by like moonlight. I open up the doors, and the whole thing is full of snakes. There's like hundreds of snakes all in my van. And I jump in there really quick, and I grab a candlelight, and I light the candle, and I sit there and I start praying. And I was like, I'm a being of God. I'm in allegiance with love and light. I banish you from this realm. You know, you are not welcome in this temple. And I'm just sitting there kind of like super calm and cool, but still also really like, you know, nervous and anxious to like clean the space. And within 5 minutes, that van was cleared. Everything was gone, and then everything was brimming with this glowing, radiating energy. It was all scintillating with like this loving frequency. Everything was fractaling out exponentially in all directions. Radically different experience, and the most beautiful, exquisite visuals ever that are beyond description. You can't even bring language back from that realm, because, you know, language needs to be left at the gates. It's so beyond description. And I had this moment where I was tested with, the other thing I wanted to say about that is that in that experience of like when I got into my van, right at that moment when I was trying to, you know, corral this and push it back, I got downloaded into like my head every lustful seduction imaginable, like, you know, lust and sex and power and greed and like property and wealth and fame. And we're like, you can have all of this if you show allegiance to me, to us. You know, I'll give you, you know, all of anything you want, everything, all the women, the money, the property, the wealth, the fame. Just show your allegiance to me. And I felt it. I felt what it was like to you know, have the feeling like, wow, I'm wildly successful and I'm a millionaire and everyone knows my name. And but I signed I made an agreement at the crossroads, so to speak.
Right.
And know that at the end of the line, you know, he's going to be like, hey man, time to pay up. And, but I didn't do that. I was like, basically like, no, I'm not showing any allegiance to you. You're not welcome here. And it was in that spot that I banished it. So with that stated, the third time when I actually learned, it taught me in that experience, it taught me how to use free will to not allow the darkness, not just over the temple still of your house, but of your body itself. So when you expel that negative energy, then all there is just brimming with all this really positive, you know, creative energy that comes out in all these different myriad ways. So on the third time I did it, I ended up sitting, holding position, and I had a 100% like mind-blowingly beautiful, stunning experience of being radiating with the most brilliant, loving light imaginable, for lack of better words, the Christ conscious Kundalini awakening, anything like that. But it's because right at the beginning I showed I'm a being of light, a being of love, a being of Christ. You know, I'm here to serve. I'm an ascended, you know, being, witnessing, gazing upon this material realm, and I show my allegiance to the Creator. And then what's happened is that you become this like ascended, you know, glowing, radiating spirit form. And then from there, all the other sequential trips that I had, I struggled. I really tried to. I had one that was a hell sequence, one that was pure bliss, and then it took me numerous times to learn and corral and control that until the last 6 experiences I had were 100% beautiful, loving Kundalini. I would just sit there like this, you know, completely high in ayahuasca. Everyone else is like puking and, you know, crying and like all unveiling all around me, and all the help, all the assistance at these ceremonies. They're taking care of everyone. And I'm just sitting there like this, looking at the musician, the shaman, being like, well, what else you got? And because I was brimming, I was just sitting there with the pure love and breath of God in my being, and I'm just glowing. And in that realm, what happens is that I think we're all starlight. When you distill spirit down to its essence, it's got to be.
I was about to say, man, I've got this experience. It's very similar to your second experience, but it was by accident. You know, hopefully they can't hear me. You know what a speedball is, right?
Yeah.
So, but I was at this house on tour in St. Louis, and I was like, yeah, man, let me get $20 worth of that in my spoon. And I thought it was just, you know, snowboarding, you know?
Well, yeah.
I don't know what they can hear.
Yeah, no.
And it wasn't snowboarding. It was Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I follow you. I definitely follow you.
In the spoon with the H. And I had a very similar experience to your second one, like very similar, like it wasn't all bad, but it was like a psychedelic, the offering of fame, the lust, the disappearing all at once, the crawling snake-like thing. The guy had like collectible action figures that were coming alive in their boxes, like all at once, and then it went away all at once. And it was because I love the way I'm trying to talk. It was all because it was Breaking Bad instead of pro snowboarding in my spoonful of loving Kurt Cobain.
So to all that stuff was great. To bring it back, to reel it back to that, is that what I learned in that realm with the last 6 times, I haven't done ayahuasca in probably 3 or 4 years, 4 years or something, because I felt like I had learned enough and I need to take a little break from it. But what I learned though is that when I use the free will to choose and show allegiance to the Creator and to love, to all these higher level frequencies, to the white magic, light magic, whatever, that I would be brimming with this ascended master, persona that was just exponentially expanding out to the farthest edges of the transcendental realm itself. And I was pure starlight, but a starlight that was, the fractaling, artwork that everywhere you looked, it's just, that world where it's like, the more you look into it, the more it's just like constantly changing. But all of it was made out of bright, loving light. It was all expansive. It was going away from me. It was real colorful, like a rainbow.
And zero sense of fear, right?
Like no fear at all. Just like gazing into the awe of look at my aura, look at this, this cymatic aura field.
Right.
And then, things there was always this screen in front of me too at times that would be showing me these almost like a cinematic thing, similar to the dream world. And in that space, when you're just focus on breath and you're like, fucking like, I'm a warrior of light, like you have to go into that realm like a warrior. I mean, that's what they've taken from us, the modern era. They're not teaching you that, not so much in the it's important in the physical realm, but even more so in the spiritual realm, is that, and in that realm, and then you would be gifted and presented with that, what I consider the essence of, say, some of the Tartarian ideas when it comes to the architecture, the art, and the stunning exquisiteness of anything manifested during that arguable 1,000-year millennial reign of Christ. I think that they were all brimming with this unbelievably stunning river of transcendental energy that was flowing through them, that was upwelling in them this need to manifest the most beautiful art imaginable, which the artwork during that time frame was just absolutely stunningly exquisite. It was beyond comprehension. It's
I'm sure it mirrors the architecture. Or did you say architecture?
Well, all of it.
You said art. Well, I'm sure like the art would
think of the mosaic, the paintings, and the architecture, and the fabric arts, and the music, and we go down the list of everything that was manifested. The sentiment, though, is that to bring it back to wrap up this idea, so I don't lose it, is that what I learned is it's like, oh wow, every single day is like tripping. Like I'm kind of tripping right now. I'm not literally, but metaphorically, I'm fucking heroic dose of reality, man. Look at this world we're in. Like, oh, this is crazy. Like, oh, wow, look at this beautiful, like, and look at this, like, it's magnificent. It's stunning. It's brimming with just joy and awe and like, wow. You gaze upon, this realm, to the sunsets, the sky, and to the firmament, the sky clock, and the beauty everywhere.
And your lifestyle is more conducive to that too. I was just telling Lowry, those guys being on tour, I envy that. Well, the grass is always greener too, but I very much envy that because I have really bad cabin fever right now. And other than going out on my bicycle, like heavy depression, a lot of people dream of having nothing to do but lay on their couch and binge Netflix or whatever. But I can't stand it, man. Like I just take my bicycle and just go.
Absolutely.
And I've got friends at random shops all over the city just because I'll just go out and, oh, there's that guy. And let's just bond with him and see what he's about. Or, I'm friends with the guys at tattoo shops and a skate shop. And I love that, like.
Well, what you're doing is what I'm talking about is you're choosing to, when you awaken every morning and you're tripping on reality, and you have the choice every morning. Am I going to show allegiance to the light or to the dark? Am I going to be depressed and sad and lonely and defeated, or am I going to be smiling, full of joy and productive and loving and in service of friends and myself?
Regardless to what's happening in your life around you.
Yeah.
Still choose the light, the happy, the joy.
Mm-hmm.
And every day you could have a really good trip. You could have a really great day because you have the free will to do it. So if that realm, if that ayahuasca, which is all mystical, transcendental, spiritual within the realm, it's not of this world. If in that realm, there's a really strong line between light and dark, between a good trip and a bad trip, like there's no gray area. You're either in one world or the other. And ideally you want to choose to be in the light, the world full of love and light. It's the same every single fucking day, man. We're tripping hard, dude.
I've never had a good trip, so I have a hard time relating to what you're saying.
Oh, I've had
what MDMA is involved? Yes.
Yeah, no, MDMA was with Molly.
But you've had
sometimes both happens, is what I'm saying.
Sometimes both what?
MDMA is involved in times I have trip.
Oh yeah. No,
so
MDMA is great.
But I've never taken like caca. I've never taken shrooms or acid, and it always ends up in a really dark, like messed up place. I would like to have a shaman or someone. I would like to.
Sometimes, if you did it with me, I would guarantee, make sure I would protect you as your guardian and your friend to teach you how to cast it away, man. It's all about, it's casting away. It's it's using light magic to banish it. It's banishing magic. And then what happens in that context? And then you invite in, once you banish it, you invite in the love and the logos.
Well, it couldn't have helped that I was also on negative, I was strung out.
All that was feeding it. All that was feeding it.
Yeah, like if you're a junkie, there's no way to really have. So let's get back on track with. Do you want to get back on track with you taking off for the first time?
Take it off where? With what?
After the tattoo shop experience with you, the Me Too movement.
Well, basically what happened, the silver lining in that is that taking off. So I had these really intense experiences throughout my life that kind of formed me into and then, in that time when I lost my brother and had a really intense, probably 7 years of quietly struggling with my twin brother's loss. And then right in the eve of the, cancel culture assault on, the modern era in this McCarthyian style, approach or whatever. I had also was developing I was really struggling with substance abuse and with a little bit of drug abuse, while at the same time under major, major pressure, major duress to perform at a high level of tattooing. I was extremely popular, very well known, and was pumping out a maddening amount of content at an obsessively, meticulous rate that was only sustainable for so long. And one of the things that I was always longed for during that moment was, I'm tired of this. I want out. I want to go in hiding. I want to hit the road. I want to travel. I don't want to be on everyone's radar. I don't want to be the it boy. I don't want to have a red carpet treatment and be this celebrity tattoo guy. I don't like this. What am I, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And I was, heavily tattooing people, giving amazingly cool work and great deals. It was basically just, running myself into the ground with fatigue. Well, and because of all of that stuff, I was also struggling with a marriage at the time, in a marriage that came to an end about 7 years ago. But I wasn't able to manage anything. And because I had a lot of that trauma that happened to me with, as when I was a younger kid, up until my brother, losing my parents, on and on and on, I was really kind of relatively absent and wasn't available a lot for, say, the previous, the relationship that I was in with my ex-wife. And I was incredibly stressed out up to a point where I was almost kind of at a breaking point. And it was at that moment that I get hit by cancel culture, and I get this insane false accusation that I tried to, aggressively, prey on this client of mine when I was tattooing. When I was just simply tattooing, this story was absurd. It was insane. And then, the cancel culture attack on you comes at you with such an aggressive assault that there's really nothing you could do but retreat. So over the years, though, over the last 7 years, I literally have exactly what I wanted, dude. I guess the silver lining thing. It's okay, this happened to me. It was horrible. It was upsetting. I had people still assuming that the accusations was true and they, think I'm a villain or whatever, but they're not my friends. It's no one that knows me. Any of my good friends who actually know me and break bread with me and spend time with me, know that my essence is brimming with love and care for everybody, especially my good friends. So the sentiment though is that now I'm completely free of all of that, of the fame, of the stress, of the intense schedules, of the monotony of, being in the same region, the same town, working at the same shop, going to the same coffee house, and the exhaustion of being run into the ground at a level that was absolutely, exhausting. And though it was really, really challenging in part to go through the divorce and let go of that friendship and relationship I had with her. I think in the long run, it was probably for the better for both of us. And that now I'm finding myself on the other side of that trauma, of that tribulation, of that assault, of that attack, or whatever, is that, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life, brother. Like,
by birthing pangs almost.
It's absolutely. So again, the overtone here is that, is tribulation and trauma and, can be and might actually be in part needed to be able to contrast that next to, a real true fulfillment and joy and love for yourself and for the life that you have in contrast to that. So the lifestyle that I have now and the friendship and the romance that I have with Grace and the freedom that I have now is so overwhelmingly brimming with joy and excitement in striking contrast to a lot of that sadness and the darkness, the sorrow and the heaviness of all of those other passages that I can really appreciate it more. And I don't take it for granted. And I protect it and I guard it and I'm very aware that it's very elusive and it's delicate and it's precarious. It's one of the reasons why we could quit drinking is that drinking is the one thing that could potentially threaten this lifestyle. And what are your thoughts on that?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't know. It takes a lot of like crazy life experiences that we all go through. And like you said, seeing the silver lining through any situation, good, bad, indifferent. What can I get out of this? What can I learn out of this? How can I grow from this? And putting that energy into what I want in my life. And when I do that, when that happens, I get blessed all the time. We get blessed every day, and we're aware of it and we see it and we're thankful for it. And we have quite the life.
That's amazing, man. I'm so jealous.
But life isn't perfect. Like we still have things in our lives that we deal with that's sad and whatever heavy. Yeah. But at the same time, we celebrate what we do have.
Yeah. And you choose love over fear. You choose light over dark. Every day you wake up in this intense trip of reality, and you're like, the darkness will not pass. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to be productive. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be sweet to my friends and to my lover, and I'm going to be my best being I possibly can. And like Lowry finally manifesting this collection of songs he's been working on for 20 years. Is exactly what I'm talking about, man. We need to come to the table and show, here's my goal. This is what I've made. Check out the music I've made. Look at the artwork I've made. Look at the podcast that I've manifested.
Yeah.
That's what.
Man, I'll tell you what. Trying to navigate myself through such a dark chapter, boozing it up as hard as I was just like stunning myself. Like I was never going to get it. Like pull myself out of that hellhole. Like,
but we all did it.
I was day drinking like a madman.
I get it.
You guys saw it. I mean, I was able to hold it together, but I was waking up and I might as well.
Right.
But look at you now. Look at all of us now. You're thriving. They're thriving. His music's coming out. I've been pumping out film and stuff. She's been pumping out jewelry. I think the sentiment is that in the face of a lot of this darkness, just continue to make art over the proverbial fucking cliff, all the way up to the bitter end, because that's really why we're here. If we didn't have to deal with all this trauma and sadness and distractions and this and that and drug use and social media, what would we be doing? We'd be like making music and writing poetry and making art and making love and making being a community and like we'd be just creating the most stunningly beautiful stuff. That's what we do. That's what it's all about. So as interesting and exciting it is to research all this crazy shit and try to get a handle on it and try to keep up with it, it's not as important as as the creative act.
I always tell people, it's like a lot of us have been digging in this stuff for so many years. It's like the heavy lifting, has been done. A lot of us did a lot of heavy lifting, and it's, if you feel like you still need to go out and do more of that, I applaud you and that sort of thing. But, all of us made a splash, and that splash and those waves are going out now. And it's like, get back to art, get back to being yourself, try to self-actualize and be who you're supposed to become. And we all had our minds collectively blown 10 years ago, maybe some it was longer, but it's at that point now where I'm still good for a rant every now and then, but like it's time to let the work that we did go and let it go do its thing. And there's so many people looking into so many things now that no one would have ever imagined before. And I hope we just get to see it manifest in our lifetime. I hope so.
You couldn't have said it better. I mean, you perfectly summed up everything that we've been talking about. So
yeah, I'm happier than I've been in a while. I mean, I'm so happy it's spilling over. Like I'm definitely a fan of Lowry's music. It's not just because he's my co-host, but like I got such a creative wave that I'm writing right now that I'm even like coming up with ideas for him to promote. Like I got 2 journals. Actually, I got 3. But I don't want to get technical, but like I'm just okay. This idea might come up. Like I could tell my brain wants to be like I was when I was in a band, naming tours, coming up with T-shirt graphics. Like what can we name the next record or this song or here's this breakdown. Like I could tell my brain is in that gear. I just don't really have more of an outlet than these 2 podcasts.
Yeah, but I think you're still manifesting these positive community where people can come together and talk and connect right now. So you're doing your light magic here, man. You're on the right path. You're on the path. The path, you're literally on it. So I would celebrate.
It feels good. I'm happy. I'm happy.
And they're releasing some music. We're doing our thing. So the sentiment though is just stay positive and stay creative and be happy and be nice and loving to your friends and family and your close, people that you're connected to, and thrive and expand and grow and and stay away from the drugs and the excess, with exceptions, But
there's people
every day.
What's that?
Yeah.
Be grateful every day. There is totally a silver lining for everything, and
while still being aware of the darkness.
Oh yeah, definitely be aware of the darkness. It's like obviously in your face all the time, but like at least we can find one simple thing just to be grateful for. Like these kittens have brought me so much joy, and I have to thank NDB and his harem for that. But Esther and Roy they're like the cutest little kittens, and they like come with us everywhere.
I can't imagine touring with 2 kittens.
Oh yeah, they're so cute. So they're jumping around in the background.
There's a lot of people that can't imagine touring with a Rico either. So I guess it's all fair.
Hurricane Rico.
Why don't we wrap this up? I think it's been a good. I think with them stepping in right there and Lowry and kind of putting that nice little overtone there. We got to shut this place down here a little bit. It's got to.
Thank you for coming on, Grace. Always a pleasure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite guest duos for sure. Sorry, Lowry. Sorry, Alex.
That's okay. I'm cool.
We're not. Are we just your guests?
Do you like us?
No.
Wait a second. I've been here every. What the hell?
Not you guys. I'm
Sombrero
talking.
groupie.
Oh, what's that?
I'm a tinfoil sombrero groupie.
Oh no.
They exist.
So we'll let's keep it. Hey, can we call both you like in the next few days and just chat on? We'll just actually when the time is right, we'll put it on speakerphone and catch up for 10 or 15 minutes.
You bet.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Also, thank you so much for sharing your story, and my heart goes out to your whole entire family. The trauma and stuff that you've gone through is intense, and trauma, obviously, like you said, happens to everybody, and that's why we have to be kind to everybody, especially ourselves. So kindness is going to rule the world. Yes. And so like lead with love.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
me and Watson talked about this. We're going to do, I think maybe episode 2 of the Hurricane Files is going to be me and Watson talking about our childhoods and what turned us into who we are, and the positives and negatives and how we navigated that. So I think if you want more about the dark end of that, we decided that would be best for not a show that, we try to sell as a positivity show.
Oh, it's the dark and the light. It'll definitely be positive.
You can't have a positive without a negative.
And with a light shining on it,
Because our childhoods are dramatically similar.
You're like, fuck, kind of
like you wouldn't believe how similar our childhoods are. Like it's luckily both of us decided to use that to create who we are in a good way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we might have a dry sense of humor, but we're happy people, and we're huggers.
Indeed. Well, you know what? I love you guys. Thank you for coming on. It's been awesome as usual, and you're always a guest on this show in the future when the time is right. And everybody out there, thank you for tuning in for this wild and crazy summer that it's been for the Sombrero. We've been all over the place, but Watson, Grace, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys again next Sunday.
Yes.
Same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Sunday nights on the Sombrero. Mwah.
Also, and hug all your loved ones. Tell everybody that you love them, and just cherish every moment that you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, I love you guys.
Cheers.
See ya.
Mwah.
We're on our way to the Resistance, and I've been knocking back cruise biz and having a good time. I don't need a bumper sticker to honk if I'm horny, if you know what I mean. Now we're just having some fun. It almost makes you forget that we're trying to solve a brutal, unfortunate murder. Hong Kong!
Previously, a chocolate chip in connection to the murder of Prag Snarbo led deputies switch Pruckett to Deepton Hole Maximum Security Prison. There, Geggy Berlant, a criminal cookie expert, spoke to a rumor that the Tooth Cartel has a Glurin making chocolate chip cookies. After hitting a dead end and making contact with the cartel, Pruckett luckily runs into Tiki Skibbles, who offered another path forward, one that will lead them both to the Resistance, to finally answer who murdered Prag Snarbo. The case continues only on The Cop Files. Buttlecorn Memorial Highway. Deputy Pruckett and Tiggy Skibbles head to meet with the Resistance.
Yeah, so Tiggy and I are on the road. Hoping we get some answers from the Resistance, and I can get back to West Deedle by tomorrow night for my anointment to sheriff under the piss moon. Gotta say, I didn't think it would be this tough riding in the car with Tiggy for so long.
Can I drive? And I promise I haven't done any drugs since I just asked you that question.
I'm not letting you drive. You fall asleep like every 10 minutes.
That's only because I've been drinking, but driving sobers me up.
Oh, Tiggy.
Fine, but I get to hold your gun.
This isn't a negotiation.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be if I had a gun.
You ain't getting my gun.
Come on, I just want to do something. I want to be helpful.
Tiggy, we need to focus. We should be going over the case details.
Hey, you want to listen to my podcast? We can put on the episode I did with your dad.
Well, I'm glad my dad will talk to at least one person in this car. I'll have to pass. He ever mention me?
No, he didn't. He was pretty occupied filling his lungs with silly soil. You really think becoming sheriff will change things?
I want him to be proud. To know I could be a hero like my mama was. To know that we Prucketts was accomplished and could still be. I mean, if that doesn't work, then I'm plumb out of ideas on how to connect with him.
You could smoke dirt together. He seemed to really like that.
I think I'll try my sheriff plan first. We'll know soon enough if it works.
Pruckett will find out sooner than he actually expects, as during a pit stop, he receives an update about his upcoming anointment.
What is it?
That was the department. They said the piss moon is coming early. It'll be tonight. And Tiggy, they said my pa's going to be at the anointment.
Well, that's pretty much everything you ever wanted.
Yeah. But I can't go.
What are you talking about?
What we are doing here is too important.
Switch, go. If you leave now, you can still make it. I'll get whatever info I can from the Resistance, and we can connect after.
Tiggy, I don't know.
Let me do my part. You've been waiting your whole life for this. Plus, now that I think about it, I don't know if showing up to a Resistance with a cop is a good look.
How would you get to the Resistance hideout?
So I'll hitch a ride. I'll be fine. I do it all the time.
That makes a lot of sense given how much you've been kidnapped. You call me immediately after. We'll meet up in Crumpdale. Thank you for doing this, Tiggy.
Tell your dad I say hello and that he still owes me for some dirt.
Switch heads for his anointment while Tiggy hitches a ride east to New Wemo, where he was told that the Resistance is hiding out in an abandoned ZBC broadcasting station. After several hours on the road, Tiggy is dropped off at the station and he heads inside.
Hello? Is anybody here? I'm interested in resisting.
It doesn't take long for Tiggy to find who he's looking for.
Who are you? Show yourself. You're the Resistance?
There is no resistance, Tiggy.
But I received an envelope. I opened mail to be here, and I never open mail.
It was the only way I could draw you out without raising suspicion.
You've just been waiting here for me to show up in this creepy, dark, abandoned building? That's your plan?
It's not that bad of a place.
This is actually the whole episode. It was supposed to be a cut-up. Hey, love you guys. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Oh, you are so lucky. I almost got a gun.